All right, hey everybody, it's Darren Tipton, and welcome to our bracket breakdown show, our second annual. As we get rolling here, Mac Pedraza will be joining me in just a second. You know, she's juggling careers right now, and it's report day for the Omaha Supernovas. So she had her report dinner, and she's literally zipping across town for that. And so when Mac literally gets into her new home and logs in, she will join us and we'll go through. And so whenever she's ready, she'll hop on. So I'm solo right now, and she just texted me. She is logging in as we speak, and we'll go through. I'm going to add the brackets as you saw them on ESPN. First of all, while we're waiting for Mac, I want to say, as somebody who has watched over the years, I'm a bracketologist, a bracket nerd. I have been watching even before I really was doing much of anything with volleyball. I love brackets. I love tournament time. I've been a March Madness fan since way back before March Madness was even cool. I've filled out more brackets than I care to mention, and ESPN did a great job tonight, and that show has come so far in the last 3 years especially, and great job by them of taking the feedback from the coaches, I think fans, and just people in general in the public, and adding things that maybe the men's and women's basketball selection shows have done, but also input from the volleyball community. That gets better and better every year, and great work. A nice job of breaking down the top teams, some of the spoilers in the tournament. Also, nice cliffhanger with the fourth number one seed, leaving the audience in suspense as long as they possibly could, and keeping everybody on the edges of their seat as long as they could, with the Stanford and Louisville figuring out who was going to be the last number one seed. So I thought they did a great job with that. And as we bring up the brackets and go ahead and go through those, and Pitt ends up being the number one overall seed. And we're going to talk with Coach Kellen Petrone here in just a second, and speaking on behalf of Pitt. And, you know, with the matchup, SMU getting the 2 seed in that region, one of the more interesting round of 32 matchups, looking with Kentucky and Minnesota possibly beaten in Lexington in the second round. Interesting matchup there. But SMU, and when I talked to Logan Engelshead earlier this afternoon, great conversation, by the way. Wow. Is that one amazing athlete? We got more questions and feedback on SMU. Pony Express fans, way to show up and get your input in, but SMU in Pitt's region. So I'm going to have to ask Coach Petrone what he thinks about that. Is that good? Is that bad? Indifferent? With them being the 2 seed, a lot of people thinking that maybe that Stanford or Louisville, whoever didn't get the 1 seed, might be in with Pitt, but ends up being SMU, and have to see what they think about that as we move on. Let's head back to Nebraska. Widely reported on Nebraska sites that Wisconsin would be that too. They are. The Big Ten matchup, also probably 2 of the biggest fan bases. Not sure if that's just the way the numbers matched up, or if that's the NCAA making sure they're going to get a good fan base. We never know how much of that goes into play. I'm hoping less and less of that. That's going to be one of our talking points later on in the show, but I'm hoping less and less of that starts to take place with the NCAA volleyball tournament. I'm hoping this becomes a tournament that just stands on its own, that we don't have to worry about maneuvering so a large fan base is guaranteed to be at the Final Four. I just hope this sport is grown to a point that its popularity, that let's just let the four best teams show up and we can sell out the arena. No matter who makes it, because it's just popular enough. There are enough volleyball fans, and it's a big enough event now that if Pitt and Minnesota and Wisconsin and Texas A&M make it, it's going to sell out. I hope we're getting to that point because in the past, there's always been some rumblings that there's a possibility the committee's always moved some teams to guarantee a certain team has the easiest route, just to guarantee that attendance is up in that arena. But here, Wisconsin, Nebraska looking to possibly be on a crash course for that semifinal. Georgia Tech in there as well. Had a couple messages about that first round 7-10 Georgia Tech Tennessee matchup. Also, that's another thing. I hope we can just start seeding this out. Hey, there's Mac.
Hello.
Mac, how was day one of pro volleyball?
Oh, boy, it was great. It was awesome. It was a good start. We're ready to go. Good team dinner. We sat down with everybody in the same place. So it was awesome. It was good.
That's good. Switch your hats. Now you're bracketologist analyst and
I know.
ready to go. But you didn't get to watch. You didn't get to watch the selection show.
I didn't get to watch all of it. It was up, like we were eating dinner, and I made sure to sit in a great spot so I could see it right in front of me. So I watched a little bit of it. I caught some of it. But no, I didn't get the full effect of it all. So a lot of the things we're talking about might be a little bit new, so you'll get my live reaction.
Yeah. Well, so the team was teasing Mac, and Zach and Casey and I were sending texts. We had the group text going, and Mac was just going nuts. And Max was going crazy that she couldn't be watching this thing. So I was like, well, easy choice. Just retire from volleyball and you can be a loser like the rest of us and watch it all the time. But
not cards quite yet.
Yeah. That's what you get for being athletic and a stud. So you got to miss these things. But yeah, I don't know. Zach and I were texting. We pretty close. Maybe SMU. We're going to ask Kellen. Since we got him in the waiting room, let's just bring Coach Petroni in. I think if, let's see. I think he's ready. Maybe. Yeah. Kellen Petrone, everybody. Assistant coach, #1 overall seed, Pitt Panthers. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how does it feel to be this long journey from where you guys started a few years ago when you came to Pitt? Now you're the #1 overall seed in the tournament. How's it feel?
Well, we were joking that this is all going according to how we planned it. You know, we knew that this would come someday, and no, but we're really grateful. We're really proud of the team and the work that they've put in and the staff, and we're really excited to get to not only to be able to host, but to get the #1 overall seed.
Mac, have you seen? Well, we'll pull it. Let's just pull up the region.
That's what I'm looking for right now. I'm trying to find.
Well,
there we go.
Well, Mac was doing her pro volleyball thing, so she hasn't seen this. Here's the Pittsburgh regional, and so I know coaches. Just so you know, Mac, a little pro tip: coaches will not let us look ahead, so we can only talk about the first two matches. So. First two matches and in Pittsburgh, but talk about the region overall and, your guys' seed. First of all, just let me ask, did you guys have any idea, like we're talking about the 2 seeds, did you guys have an idea that SMU might be that 2 seed with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, this is something we're obviously looking at really closely, knowing that it's only, I mean, we can't control it, but, we didn't expect SMU to be the 2 seed in our region, but then after NC State beat them last night, we had a really good feeling that they would be the 2 seed in our bracket if we got the number 1 overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mac.
No, I'm just like looking at it at a glance, and like your first 2 potential matchups at home in Pittsburgh, like feeling good about those, like ready for that. Conference winners, how do we feel about the first round matchups? Like obviously we won't skip ahead. I know better than that. We never did when we were players either. Like you can't talk about what's next. You gotta look right in front of you. But those teams coming into your place, feeling good about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're excited to be at home, and if we're lucky enough to keep advancing, we'll be in the Peterson Event Center for the first time ever, all the way throughout, and so we're stoked about that. And we've been having incredible crowds this year, and so we're just excited to be hosting at home and hopefully have a few more sellouts at the Peterson Event Center. This is something that we, never weren't sure if we'd ever be able to do, and we were able to do that against Penn State this year, and we had a great crowd against Louisville. Morehead State is we're going to start looking into them tonight. They actually have a pretty unique situation. Lindenwood actually won their conference, but because they're transitioning from D2, Morehead State got the automatic qualifier. And so, we're going to start watching them tonight. And on the other side, Oklahoma, I watched them beat Texas this year at Texas, and UTEP has won tons of games, and, they're a team that's used to winning. So, we're excited for what comes, and have a great, 4 teams at the Fieldhouse this weekend, or I'm sorry, the Pete this weekend.
Coach, talk about the focus of your team and just the all-around solid play, where there really hasn't been any roller coaster. I've talked about just locked in, because I don't understand volleyball, the X's and O's, but just there hasn't seemed to have been a lot of down nights.
Yeah, well, it's funny you're saying that after our 5-set win yesterday.
I did want
Georgia Tech.
I did want to ask.
But I think one of the things that's really important to our program is that we have really high standards, and it's daily, and our goal every day is just to have a great practice. And we keep our expectations low. When you start having high expectations, when something doesn't match those, you start to freak out a little bit, and then all of a sudden you see those dips in play, and you start seeing the players and the staff do things they're not normally doing, and so it's testament to what Coach Fisher has built here, and the standards we have are incredibly high, and so it's not really the moments we have that are bad. We don't want to be a bad day team. We want to have bad. We know we're going to have bad moments. So how quickly can we rebound from those bad moments is really important to us.
You guys have so much strength, and there's a lot of noise around your program, I would say. Like good noise mostly, I think, but like a lot of awards, a lot of things like that. How has it been navigating the noise, so to speak?
Yeah, so it's a goal of ours to be the best team in the country at navigating that noise, and we know it's coming. We know it's going to surround our program, and it's not something that it's not like we're avoiding talking about it. And so we have actually meetings like, hey, how can we be the best team in the country at dealing with this? And because so much of it is out of our control, and so we spend a lot of time thinking about hey, it's very cliche to focus on what you can control, but really, can we focus on our side of the court? And we call it our 30-foot world, right, where everyone's in it together, because you can't control anything else, and in that small world that we have on the court, you can have a lot of influence, and those are the voices that we want to be listening to, the ones that are in the room, not outside.
Right.
We talked maybe last year about the national perception, and somebody had just said that it's just Pitt was still just not a team that the national media was ready to talk about yet, right? They wanted to talk about the program, right? And then the other programs that were trendy, and even Louisville in your conference, right? And you just said we just keep showing up, right? Have you finally gotten rid of that, do you think?
Well, that's once again, that's noise. And I do think that, I would hope so at this point. And I just remember way back when the first AVCA rankings came out, we were ranked 4th, and someone said, hey, I'm going to stop talking about how they're not good anymore, and we're just going to accept the fact that they're a good program. And so I think we're slowly but surely getting there. And then, if you come to any of our games and see how many fans are there, it's not, it's incredible. And so I think the Pittsburgh community has rallied around us, and all the other stuff about what other people think or other programs are doing, it just doesn't really matter.
Absolutely. I'm excited to watch you guys. I think you have been a dominant team this entire season, and I think going into the postseason, your girls have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I mean, it's been a couple of years running here with falling just barely short of that national championship. Do you guys talk about that? Talk about past seasons, or is it kind of we're here now and this is where we're going?
I mean, I think, we've talked about it, and we're really clear on what our goals are, and we know we have a team that has the potential to win this year. And it feels it's kind of ridiculous to say, but there was a bunch of years where we just kept losing in the second round. And it's like, are we going to break through? Are we going to break through? And then we finally did. We haven't looked back since. And so hopefully this is the year that we can break through the Final Four, which is an amazing accomplishment anyway, and keep it going.
Right.
What do they talk about? Because we talked about is that something stuck with the girls? Like, are the athletes, they lose last year, or is it a new year? This is a new team, or because they're so senior dominated, right? And it is such a veteran team. Have they trained harder? Has it meant more this year, or is this a brand new team and they're just enjoying every day, or do they think back to last year's semifinal loss?
Well, the 3 Final Fours we made before were largely with different groups. We had some transfers in the first one, and then we had some people that had been there before the second year. And then last year we made it there, and we have almost the exact same team back. And so I do think that the failure in the Final Four last year definitely has motivated us this entire year. And but really, it hasn't been like, it's something that we want to do and we're not shy about talking about. But really, it's like, hey, how do you win the next game, and how do you win today's practice? And I know that's coach talk, but it's really how we've approached it. And the poise and the professionalism of our team this year has been really fun to watch.
Last thing for me that we'll let you go. What is the most important thing for you in a tight match? Like, what do you guys need to do well to win a tight match that you will inevitably have at some point like you had yesterday?
Well, I think there's been times where we've been pushed this year. And yesterday, we haven't been at 15-15 in the 5th set once this year. And so we're really excited that we had that opportunity yesterday. And then, in those moments, they seem bigger than, they are, because it's just a single point. But to see how locked in the team got when the match was on the line yesterday was really fun to watch. And I know for sure it's going to pay dividends in this tournament run, because you can't expect, as I was saying about high expectations, you can't expect things to go a certain way, because they never do.
Right.
Well, Coach, we thank you for your time, and what a year it's been to watch. A great match earlier this week, and you guys rest up. There'll be a lot of eyes on you, and hopefully we get to talk to you another couple times the next few weeks. Okay.
Awesome. Darren, Mac, thanks for everything you're doing for our sport. It's making it better, and you're bringing a lot of attention to things that are really important for people. And so keep it going.
We'll keep it up. We appreciate you. Thank you for giving us your time to do so.
Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right. Take care, buddy. We'll see you. Good luck.
Bye.
All right. We'll bring their bracket back up here as we look, and before we move on to the next. But Mac, talk about that. We can talk about the bracket and looking ahead. Me, just because, wow, it's like the committee just said, what would be a great second round matchup for Tipton? And they said Gophers and Wildcats in Lexington.
I know you're ready for that one. You're going to be on the edge of your seat there.
Well, I might be on the edge of my seat in the updated.
You heading to, where will it be? Minnesota?
No, that'd have to be in Lexington, wouldn't it? Yeah, the Cats got to be the higher seed. So
Yeah, you're right. It's in Lexington. Yeah.
I might go. That looks good, like a good one. What about
That does look
tell
like
me about SMU, because you've watched them.
Yeah. You know, if I'm anybody, there are two teams that I am quote unquote afraid of that I would not want to see at any point early in the bracket, and SMU is one of them, and Texas is the other one. I think those are two teams that are really good and maybe didn't get to host a regional. Those are teams that like probably could be good enough to host a regional, but are just, I mean, how the cards fell. So if SMU, I mean, they're coming off that loss to NC State, that could either light a fire under them. And I know Coach Sam Erger was on the NCAA show. I saw her speaking. I didn't hear what she had to say, but I'm sure she talked a little bit about, hey, we got to go. We're ready to go. And it's time, no time like the present. So she's done a lot with that program, and they're in a really good spot. So I would not want to see them at any point, especially if I'm Pittsburgh, that is their one loss, So, but also I think that being their one loss, they probably have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they're not going to let that team be the one to take them out, since they did ruin their potential for a perfect season.
Well, and she talked about having a real veteran group that's weathered, they're experienced, and they're not going to back down from anybody, and how well they've come together, how fast and how well they've come together to play this hard this year. And I think it's, if we relate things to men's basketball and they talk about what wins in March, veteran teams, well, SMU has one of those, and they've seen the damage that they can do. We'll talk later in the show about they're one of our questions for our storyline. So as we look through Oregon, a different team, but they also went through the battles of the Big Ten. And sometimes you see this, and we'll move on to the next region, but you see this sometimes with these power conferences, and you'll have these teams that go through the battles of a tough conference. And then when they get to tournament play, it's almost a refresher when they get to play teams out of their conference and they'll go on a run.
Yeah.
Is a team like Oregon or another Big Ten team, could they do that in the tournament now that they get to play teams from other conferences?
Absolutely. And I think Oregon's a good example of that, because I think I said earlier, I don't know where I was talking about this, but Oregon hasn't had one of those big time, I haven't seen them win a game that they're maybe not supposed to win. They've won all the games that they should win. So I'm ready to see them kind of steal one, so to speak. So they very well could go on a crazy run and kind of dominate right here. That would be a team that I could see going for it and making a long run in the tournament, especially looking at those matchups. They see teams in the Big Ten that are much more difficult than the teams that they're potentially going to face in that portion of the region. So we'll see. I think Oregon potentially could be a really strong game and I always love an ACC Big Ten matchup personally.
Yeah, you get to see some of these different, some of the different styles as you get to the tournament, and you just sometimes, I don't know, you sometimes see that in, again, as related to March Madness. You see that sometimes with the as they get to the tournament play. Not that it's a breather, but it's like you've been going Nebraska, Wisconsin, and all their travel. And now it's like they get 3 days in one location, well, at home. And that could be a refresher, but we'll move on. And we're actually going to skip our rotation. We're going to skip to this conference just because of our next guest that's here to join us, and he might know a little bit. I got some hard hitting questions for this guy, but this is one as we welcome our next coach. Assistant Coach David Hunt from Texas volleyball. Coach, welcome.
Hey, what's up, Mac? I was enjoying listening to you break it all down. I didn't watch the show, so I was sort of fun seeing what was going on.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually didn't get to watch the show either. I was in a team dinner because we reported today, so I'm like getting to see. It's my live reaction to all of the brackets, everyone's placement. So it's fun for me too.
That's sweet. That's sweet.
Well, Coach, this is our first. We got to move over one, but
no, that was it. You were on at State College.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So the Longhorn, it's the State College Regional, but Coach, were you guys and we're going for. Well, I just realized this bit of irony. The Longhorns, they're in the State College Regional, and they're going for the three-peat. Last team to three-peat.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
That makes for some good. Yeah, that makes for some good TV if we can even get to that point. So I
know you can't. I know we can't ask you about that, but let's. You guys can stay. Well, the Islanders. How far does Commerce have to come to Austin?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm the last person you should ask. I just got to Texas 2 years ago, and yeah, I know it's a huge state. So we play them in the when did we play them? Last spring. So I know that it's within that 400-mile radius where we can end up playing in the spring, but that's about it.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Austin quad to start. All right. Your first weekend. What did the office think when the bracket came out?
Well, Jarrett was texting me and Eric. Both me and Eric didn't watch the show. Jarrett was watching it. So I just knew that we had Corpus Christi and then USC. So yeah, we're just excited to be in the tournament. It's actually like a bittersweet time for coaches. Because obviously you're excited you make the NCAA tournament, but then you have some friends that didn't. Mm-hmm. And then you have some friends that, our profession's pretty brutal, right? Like we have friends that find out that they don't have jobs this week. So yeah. It's sort of bittersweet as a coach. And then you start breaking down video and sort of seeing what your team's good at and what you'll have to sprinkle in this week if you're lucky enough to get to your second match and hope that your training is good. And it's so much like we talk about it during the season. It does you no good to mask some deficiencies. And Mac, you know this, you've been in the tournament, you guys have gone a long way. There's so little time for you to prep or make changes like through the season. If you don't address some of the deficiencies that you have, somebody's going to exploit you and sort of take advantage of that. So all through the year, we spend a lot of time just trying to make ourselves a well-rounded volleyball team. And then we hope to refine some things that we're pretty good at this week and potentially if you move on, right? But you really don't have many practice days when you look at it. You get maybe one in the beginning of the week, and then you're traveling, or you have the NCAA practice where they limit the amount of time that you're on the clock, and you're just trying to stay fresh and hope that you can play good volleyball.
Yeah. Where do you feel like you guys are at with that whole refining and trying to figure out? Because it has been a little bit more of an up and down season, but yeah. I feel like, we always say we want to peak in end of November, peak in December. Like this is where you want to be at. Like, do you feel like you guys are at that point, or how has that been?
Yeah. It's sort of been different, right? Like when you were at Ohio State 2 years ago, the team you guys played when we opened up the season, that was the same identical team on both sides, pretty much, right? Like except we were both just better at the end. Yeah. Where this year we've gone through a few different lineups. But with the same goal in mind, right? Like it's always been what's going to make us good at the end. And as a coach, you probably go back and look at your last 5-6 matches to give a snapshot of how you're playing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We've spent all this time working on this other area that now we've sort of laid off some of these other things. We got to go back and touch up on them. I think offensively, you take out our last match that we played yesterday just because we didn't have a big piece of what we were trying to do or what helps us. We're hitting 375 and we're playing pretty good volleyball. We had a few matches in there where, our service errors were down to 6%, 7% with some pretty good service pressure. So I think we feel like we're moving in a good direction, but there's still some areas that we'd like to clean up.
Always.
Yeah.
You guys have, you're Texas, you're back-to-back national champs. There's always going to be noise around your program. What do you do at this time of year? Do you change anything? Do you do anything special to block that noise out? Do you go to the same routine that you did last year, that you did the year before? Do you dial
I think
it in?
Your routines evolve with the teams that you have, right? So like something that we do this year that works with this year's team doesn't mean that it worked last year and doesn't mean that it's going to work next year. And through the course of the season, you try to just refine and see what is working for your group and what effect it has. So I think staying pretty consistent to that. The last few years, we've gotten to the Final Four and we've had practices, and it's like, hey, we're still trying to get a little bit better at this or a little bit better at that. And I think that came probably working with the Olympic team. You're at the Olympics, and the old format was you would have 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off. And we would go into practice on our off day, and it's like, hey, we need to get better, at our left back defense, or we still need to, work on these things. And so I think that almost it takes the pressure off of, hey, we have this big match, or hey, we're prepping for this opponent. It's like, no, we need to clean up these things. And if it comes out tomorrow, it comes out tomorrow. But regardless, we need to get better at it. So I think it's not really routine, but it's really just the focus on that continual improvement idea. And I know that every coach says, hey, we just want to keep getting better. But can we really just hammer home one thing? And then when you think about, all right, if we're fortunate enough to get through this weekend, if everybody can change one thing on the court, if Emma can just get a little better at one thing, or our middle block can get better at one thing, well, then we've changed 7 things. And if you're prepping for us, having to deal with 7 different things is a lot different, right? So just the power of, can I change one thing or refine one thing that'll make me really good? And then on the whole, our whole team has maybe adjusted one thing. So that's really, I think, our mindset as we go through it. So yeah, it gives some sense of normalcy to our team because we're always doing that. But we don't talk too much about, definitely playing past the match that we have. And definitely it's a lot more about us just playing some good volleyball.
Yeah. I want to touch on that. I've never won a national championship. Most people never have won a national championship. What does the returning national championship team talk about this time of year? Do you guys talk about last year? Does that come up at all? Is the three-peat a conversation piece, or is it, this is this season, we're on to the next?
Yeah. I mean, it's so different, right? Like in terms of your personnel. So it's very much just who we have out there and what we're competing with. I think the benefit you have at a program with people that have been through the tournament is, right? Your first experience in the tournament is much different than your second, right? So just, you're used to, when we say, hey, it's an NCAA practice, they know what that means. Hey, we have to be warm and ready to go because as soon as we walk out there and touch the volleyball, that clock starts, right? So I think those things, there is some comfort in knowing what those things mean. So our players all haven't been through that is helpful, but I mean, there's still going to be nerves, right? We still get out on the court and there's still the nerves of the excitement of the match, right? And knowing that every match potentially is your last, right? So.
Absolutely.
When you guys let's take a look at your bracket, and you have, in the Austin quad with USC and a couple, traditional big names there. And then you have, with the possible Sweet 16, matchup with Creighton, which has kind of been the talking point all year, just in college volleyball. of their great senior class. And then on the other half with Penn State, right? And the Big Ten champs and their resurgent and their story. There's a lot of great storylines in this region that make for it to be a really popular region. It doesn't need any extra hype. It kind of hypes itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't, yeah, that's your job. You guys write all those things. I mean, I look at just looking as a coach, I'm going to look at our first matchup. And then the second thing I think is, I know the UT Arlington coach. It's going to be cool to see him. And then I look at their record. I'm like, well, I mean, damn, they've had a pretty good season too. So just to assume that USC beats them, I think is sort of crazy, right? Because I only see 2 losses next to their name. They had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
So really to be honest with you, tomorrow, if I hear any of the players say anything other than Texas A&M Corpus Christi, they're going to get worked a little bit because that's going to be our focus. So, and then you go into that match and you hope that you play good volleyball. And after that match, if we're lucky enough to win, then it's all right. What did we do well? And what do we need to talk about being better at the next day to be able to try to beat whoever we play? So
that's true. I broke the cardinal rule. I should have known not to look ahead. I know, but there are some pretty cool.
No, but yeah, your job's different than my job, right? Like you're hoping for some cool storylines and
no, I didn't want you to. No, I knew you would never say anything bad about any of the programs. There's just some really cool. There's some really cool stories this year in this one region. I think
probably all of college volleyball, right? Like we're volleyball fans too, and that's part of the reason I don't watch the selection show, because the competitor in me hates hearing about any other team. So like I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like there's been some really cool stories. I mean, SMU for me is a story that's awesome, right? In terms of it's a program that's close to us. They're doing great things. They've been doing great things for a few years now. Sam's been crushing it up there, and they came and played us last year. We got them in the round of round 32, and I mean that was a match where it was just like, damn, this is a really good team. We had A&M in the first round, which was a great team. Then we had SMU, and we were thinking like, Jesus, like historically these first and second round games had been easier. Right. And I think what it is it's showing you the level of volleyball across the country is just a lot better. And then everyone talks about the parity and teams knocking off each other and all that. And it's just, I don't know. I think the level of volleyball is just getting better.
Absolutely.
That is absolutely correct. But well, we will let you go and get you into the film room and the scouting room. But as everything, we thank you for your time this year and help with us. And that gym is. Does it ever get loud? Does it ever get loud in your guys'
ask Mac if it gets loud. She has the best. I mean, she was there. She knows.
Yeah. The Greg gets a little loud. Just a little bit.
We have it as the number 3 most intimidating place in college volleyball to play.
I know, what the heck? Only the 3rd? What do we got to do to move up the list?
Don't get us.
I read you took some heat for the way you did it.
We're still taking it.
I get it. But you know what you guys are doing is awesome. Obviously having Mac is a big upgrade. I was a little worried when it was just you, but having Mac's a big upgrade with you. So that's good.
Wait,
but
everybody needs a villain. Sweet. Everybody needs a villain. And I
get that.
I'm good. Well, you better speak of that. You better stop talking about Penn State. Their coach is on now. He can hear you.
Okay. No, well, here's my question, Mac. I'll put you on the hot seat. 4 years at Ohio State, 1 year at Penn State. Was it 4 at Ohio State?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So like when you have to put where you played, like you're going to the Hall of Fame or whatever, where you put in, you going with the majority of years? You say Penn State? What do you go with?
We live in an age where everyone's willing and able to type an extra line. So I get to do both. I don't have to pick.
I laugh about that when I go to a lot of these gyms, club gyms, right, for practices, and they have people's pictures up there. And then it's like, oh, we have to change this. And it's like, just put a slash. Like it is what it is, right? Yeah. Like it's all good. And you should be proud of both those programs, right? Like
exactly.
That's sweet.
it's a cool place to get to sit. I get to cheer for both of them and get to watch all the sports, everything. So if Ohio State has a bad day, I'm still a Penn Stater, so I get to root for them too. So
there you go. So no matter what, Big Ten championship for football was looking pretty good for you.
I know. I was ready for it. Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
All right, my bad.
About that.
Bad.
Yeah, you ask her what football team she cheers for, and she says Michigan.
Anybody that's playing Michigan is really the right answer if you're from that area, I think. Right?
Not right now, it isn't. Not right now, it isn't. But, all right, Coach, we'll let you go. Best of luck. And hey, everybody tells me it's time to crank up that engine that Texas is ready to make a run. So I'm here for it.
You know what? That is the downside of we were able to do some good stuff last year and go on a run. And a few times we just had to just tell the team, like, hey, it just doesn't, just flip it on, right? It just doesn't work like that. It is some hard work that goes in there. So luckily,
that's what I'm telling everybody.
Yeah, the girls have been working hard every day, so we're thankful for that. But we're good. Have you had my other counterpart on? Has she been on yet, or is she coming on later?
Who's that?
Later.
The other person that
she's later.
Okay, I didn't want to ruin it, but
we'll see her.
All right.
But hey, don't worry, I won't be anywhere close to one of your matches.
All right, that's good. You were bad luck for us, so that's good. I was worried about it.
Historically
yeah.
bad luck.
Yeah. So, all right, guys.
It's a cool town. All right, take care, Coach. We'll see you later.
We'll see you.
All right. Hey, and from one half, we'll just go from one half of the bracket. We're going to go to the other half, number 1 seed. And we're going to have to see if this next guy, I know it's time to break down film for the tournament, but we're going to have to see if this guy has come down yet from Wednesday. I know they say 24 hours to celebrate, but I might have taken 48. But we're going to welcome in Coach Brian Toron from Penn State, Big Ten champs, Penn State Nittany Lions volleyball. Coach.
Darren, great to see you. Mac, nice to see you. How was practice? How was the team meeting?
Day 1 was good. Team meal today. Got some physicals and stuff going on, so it's going well. So far, good.
How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Got an opponent we got to go play and ready to go get after it.
Yeah, I don't want to skip ahead yet. I want to go back to a couple days ago. I want to talk Big Ten championship. I haven't gotten the chance to break it down really. I'm sure you're ready to move on and scout the opponent, but you guys are rolling with everything going on too. You guys are in the right mindset. You're in the right headspace. Everybody's rolling through. How do you feel coming off of that heading into the postseason?
Just really happy for the group. It's been right. Mid-majors, they have a conference championship and you're playing that tournament to play the ultimate game. Like we got fortunate enough, the media was able to be a Big Ten title match because us and Nebraska were both undefeated or 1 loss for us at that time. But we didn't win the Big Ten that night. We won the Big Ten the first game of the year and the second game of the year. And it's just a line that, to win that championship, we had to win the 18 games before that to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of allowed us to really be good to be in a great spot for coming up this weekend. We're going to play, and happy for the team, happy for our seniors. They've been awesome. Happy for Katie and our head coach and the alums and the Penn Staters on this call who can wave that flag pretty big right now. It's pretty cool.
I want to know, because our stream wasn't great here picking it up, but what was it like? What was it like in the facility that night? Was it electric?
Yeah, Rec Hall's awesome. Rec Hall's rocking. It's super loud. If you have 3,000 fans in there, you can't hear it. And we had 6,000 fans that night, and it was unbelievable. And there's sometimes nothing like it. The proximity of our fans on the court is closer than some other gyms, which just makes a difference, and it has an impact, and it's real. And our educated fan base, credit to Coach Rose and all the alumni who've been here before us, that they educated our fans on what volleyball is. They know how rotations work. They know how the sub patterns work. They know every hand signal. And it was a great match. Nebraska played well. We played well, and 2 sets went deuce, and that's what you want. You want high-level volleyball for a game like that. And Nebraska brought a bunch of fans, and credit to their Husker people for traveling, and it was a good volleyball. Both teams and crowds got after it.
Yeah, Rec Hall it looked pretty sick. I was like, maybe I should have booked a flight to State College.
We invited you.
I know. That's on me. That's on me. Okay, well, we can move on from the Big Ten championship.
All right. Well,
Probably still.
Congratulations on that. It was good to see the crew. They played great. They earned it. I do want to say one more question. How rebounding from the Wisconsin match when you guys didn't play up to your capabilities, had to be, disappointed a little bit, and then rebounding that way. How did that feel, especially for some of the younger athletes?
It's a learning experience. I thought David, in your last interview, said it really well. Like your first time going through things, your first time going through things, and rec hall is really tough to play in, and the field house is really tough to play in, and Devaney is really tough to play in, and Purdue's gym is really tough to play in, and like every Big Ten road game is tough. And the Wisconsin was a tough turnaround. We played the night before and had to get there the next day, and Wisconsin came out really hard. And their previous match, they lost to Nebraska, and that's an excellent program, and they kind of played lights out, and we didn't. And when it's a top 10 team playing each other on the road, usually the home team has advantage. Right, the football, the money line is usually +3 to the home team. I think volleyball's got a home court advantage for a top 10 matchup, and Wisconsin was better. The first game was deuce, and then we kind of ran out of gas a little bit, and they played really well, and that's how it goes.
Yeah,
sounds good. All right, on to the State College region, and what did you guys think when you saw your opening weekend quad?
Really honored. First, just honored to be at home and not be at home for Rec Hall, and the goal is always to win and be undefeated at Rec Hall, and we did that this year, so we got the right to host first, second round, which is never guaranteed. We all start 0-0, and then to get that regional additional weekend is massive. Playing Delaware State, excited about them. I went to the University of Delaware, so know the Route 1 rivalry really well. To play Delaware State at a school that's about an hour and a half down the road. And the UNCAL matchup is pretty cool for us. Right, Katie played here in '99, and Coach Rose was the head coach. But the two assistant coaches on that '99 team were Aaron Appleman, the head coach of Yale, and Mike Shaw, the head coach at UNC. So Katie's bringing back her two assistant coaches. I'm talked to those guys a lot. Just honored to know they had the similar seats we're in, and that's Penn Staters. And we played Yale early in the year non-conference, so familiar with them. And Mike's doing a great job at UNC and who they are and what they're doing. So it's gonna be a really great matchup to watch those two teams compete, and honored to play whichever one of those teams win the following night. Hopefully, if we can beat Delaware State on Friday.
it's hard to like throw a rock and not hit a Penn Stater, I feel like, in the volleyball world.
There's a lot of Penn Staters in this region. Alyssa D'Erico is assistant coach at Utah, who won 4 national championships as a libero. Creighton's libero, Maddie Volnovic, was a Penn Stater who played here for a couple times. So there's a lot of Penn Staters kind of scattered throughout the tournament. And
yeah, College of Charleston, Allie.
Yep,
that's crazy. I just made that connection. Allie Holland and Maddie B, both in that regional. That's crazy. It's fun though. What else, looking at your region as a glance, the entire thing, are there any matchups in there that you're looking forward to seeing, like potentially other teams, other regions that I know you like to watch volleyball too? So like,
I'll probably watch every match and just been enjoying it. Similar to what David said, there's a lot of good matchups across the board. There are a lot of really good teams, and with the adjusted of conference, is right. You can't play a conference opponent in the first 2 rounds. It made some really interesting kind of first and second round matchups that you traditionally wouldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of excited for what's out there. Don't know off the top of my head every little matchup, but I know they were displaying it. There are a lot of good matchups in that first, second round that have potential to be some really high level volleyball because there are a lot of good teams out there.
Yeah. How's the team? How's everybody's like, I know there was some big celebrating going on, I'm sure, which was absolutely deserved, but how's everybody feeling about the spot and heading into the postseason coming off of the whirlwind season that you guys have had?
Just excited to keep going. Right. Like we've enjoyed the success we have, and we want more. And the goal of Penn State is very clear. It's national championship. Like that was awesome. But if you walk into Rec Hall, the Big Ten title is a banner with years on it, and it's going to be another year on that banner now. We'll add 2024 to that. But the only other banners we hang in, the actual only banner you get in Rec Hall is a national championship. There's no Big 16, 4 round of 32s. It's the big one, and I think we're just excited to be at home because you get to the benefit of home is you sleep in your own beds. You know you can eat your food you want. You get to see your family and just kind of chill. Being able to have your own pillow is really nice. Being able to just know where your laundry is and have your internet, have your classes. There's a huge benefit to not having to travel and trying to figure out if you're the director of ops, person who handles travel and food. Like, I hope they like this pregame meal. I hope it doesn't get them like sick or uncomfortable. Like, you just know what you're eating. Like, you know who's giving you the food. There's just certain benefits that help. And it's set up nicely for us.
For sure.
Anything that you think when you look at the rest of the other regions, any thoughts you have on those or how you think the rest of the tournament might go?
I think it's going to be wildly unpredictable. I think the last 3 days, or almost kind of since Wednesday of college volleyball, for these last 4 or 5 days have been some of the most entertaining matches. Some upsets, some nearly upsets, some did get the upsets, and then some sweeps. But I just think the level of entertainment and the passion the players have played with over these last 4 or 5 days, if that continues over for these next 3 weeks, for everyone who covers the sport, it should be a lot of fun for a lot of storylines for you all to cover and enjoy.
I'm excited for it.
I am too.
Hey, I mean, I'm ready for December to earn the madness phrase, like March Madness. I mean, it's time for December to actually earn the madness now. We got to have a little madness and a little shake up.
I mean, ESPN's doing their bracket madness, so that legitimizes it a little bit, and just kind of starting to work into those things. And it is little by little, we're getting there. Shows like this and everything you're doing, it helps, and every little bit, the sport's growing and the eyes are growing on it. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no. I totally get that, but now we got to have a little madness. It can't go chalk, right? Like too much chalk on opening weekend.
The number one spot. I don't mind chalk terribly,
You're talking to the wrong guy to want some madness, definitely.
Right? No.
For sure.
Yeah, we're a ways from a Virginia getting knocked off as a 20-some point favorite. I don't think that's happening yet, but we just need a little Cinderella action, but maybe not in the State College region. No, Brian, you've worked too hard. But hey, man, we're gonna let you go. Congrats on the Big Ten title. So cool for your crew. We're going to talk to another Nittany Lion who we're guessing was pretty excited after Wednesday's night's win.
It was awesome.
Oh, yeah, man. And hopefully a couple more weekends for you to do some interviews, because I can tell you like these things, don't you?
Yeah, I can hang out with you and Mac. I'm always down. Sounds like a good time to me.
We thanks for your help, man. And hey, just enjoy however long of the ride's left. Okay, bud?
Sounds awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Bye, Brian.
Yeah.
Good talking
Take
with
care,
you.
Brian Torin, and Brian Torin from Penn State volleyball. And I don't know, we loaded up with the State College region, but our next guest is not a guest. She is basically the MVP of this company for the fall. We're going to welcome in. We're going to put a face with a name. Sydney, how are you?
I'm good.
I like that.
Volleyball
Adrenaline staff. She is.
I like it. Praise.
The super intern. Nice to finally meet you, I guess. But how are you?
I'm great. Got back from selection show. We did ours at DJ's Dugout in town, which was really fun.
Nice. Good stuff.
Good stopping place. You didn't go down to Let It Fly, huh?
Right across the street though, right? Isn't it?
Across the street, yeah.
I'm getting familiar with my Omaha territory. I'm feeling it out.
Hey, Mac, you know what you can do?
Here. I need all the tips, Sid.
I'll give you all the list is endless.
Perfect.
Crimes. Oh, yes. Yes, she is. Mac, you got to get to be friends with those people. Let It Fly. You go see their, and we could do the podcast go look at their podcast room at Let It Fly. That's legit.
I'm pretty sure our owners, the Supernovas owners, own Let It Fly. Yeah.
The Millers?
The Whites? We can talk about that.
Okay, yeah, that's another time. Sydney, congratulations on the title.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let's talk the 2 seed in the State College region. How's the squad feeling?
Yeah, I mean, we feel really good about that. We think a 2 seed is a great spot for us. Obviously, we're pushing for the seed, but we understand, and we're not like silly about it. Like, we understand that our conference schedule doesn't quite match up to a lot of the other teams, and all we did all season was just put our best foot forward and work as hard as we could. And so we're happy with where we are. Absolutely.
Is Kiara, is she a Blue Jay?
Yes.
All right, we're going to add Kiara. Welcome.
Hi.
Might
How
have
are you?
a squad of Blue Jays joining us later. I think Maddie Villanovic's also looking at coming on and saying hello.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, and I tease you and we talk because we just have to, but you know what? I think what you guys did was you showed up and you beat everybody that was in front of you, and that's all you can do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys don't make the schedule. You just show up and beat the crap out of whoever you're supposed to.
That's the plan. That's all you can do. That's what volleyball is all about. You show up and you beat the opponent on the other side of the court. But you guys did you had a pretty tough and rigorous preseason. I think a lot of your preseason matches were really strong games. You were battle tested quite a bit. I was at the Nebraska one in Lincoln, and you guys were phenomenal. It was really impressive to watch. So how do you think that preseason schedule prepared you for what you have going into the postseason?
Yeah. I mean, our coach Booth does just a fantastic job of scheduling that tough preseason for us. Like, she did it last year. She stepped it up even more this year. So, like, we really appreciate her putting us in that position in the first place. I think Key can add on to that however you want.
Yeah, I think another thing is that, like, I don't know, we just like see the preseason schedule that she sets up for us, and we just like go out there and we're like, okay, like we can go out there and beat this team, and like this is a chance for us to show, like, outside of our regular conference season or games, that like we can just go out there and compete. And I think we take it as there's no pressure in any of these situations. Like, we just go out there and like it's just a joy to play with one another and to go out there and compete and be intense and like be in these really cool environments, like playing at Nebraska, playing at Kansas, we played at Purdue last year, playing at Minnesota, like playing in all these like really high, stressful, intense environments is just like, it's so much fun. But we also get to like go out there and just like play loose and play free.
Yeah. A couple more Blue Jays joining us. Maddie, how's it going? My old teammate.
Hi.
Ava, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you guys for joining us. We have lots of Blue Jays on here. We were just talking about if you guys have anything else to add about how you guys had a really strong, your preseason was pretty strong, and you guys were battle tested in preseason. And we talked a little bit about how your season, you may not have the toughest regular season, but your preseason was so strong. Coach Booth did such a good job scheduling. How do you think that prepares you for the postseason?
Yeah, I think that we know that our non-con is really important to set us up for success in the post season. So I think going into non-con, like realizing that every game is going to be a battle and really like having to figure out all those kinks pretty early on is like shows how mature that we need to be up front, and getting like over those high pressure situations from the start has really just helped our team grow.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this, as athletes, I mean, you've been going at it a long time. July, I don't know, maybe you got a little break, probably not much. August, preseason, now we're in December. Is it more like you get refreshed now, or is it more like, let's get into this where you're mentally worn down? How do you feel? I'm sure physically you're pretty beaten up, but how do you feel mentally when you get to the tournament?
Yeah, I feel like we've just been waiting for this moment for so long. These girls came up last spring, and we've just talking about the tournament. Final Four has been on our mind. It's been a huge goal for us. So yeah, I feel like it's kind of refreshing knowing who we're going to play since it's been such an unknown. But it's go time. We're ready to go. We're super excited. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
And I think for us, we talk a lot about too of October is the hard mental month for us, physically, mentally. Like, that's the middle point of the season where you just have to grind out. You're in conference play. There's no breaks every weekend nonstop. And so it's almost like once you get past October, I think right now is the time, like, we're hungry, we're ready for it.
Nice. Okay, let's talk about your guys' place in the bracket. So we've got South Dakota, Ole Miss, Florida State all coming to Omaha. How do we feel about how that's looking so far?
I feel really good about it.
I'm excited. We normally play South Dakota We played them my freshman year, I think, exhibition. I don't know if we played them last year, but Booth was talking about how there's a bunch of local kids from there, so they're kind of familiar with that team. My old sand partner is the libero for South Dakota, so I think that'll be fun playing her.
Which
But
one's that?
I'm excited to host Cameron Ferris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cameron worked all our summer stuff in Sioux Falls. She is awesome.
Cool. Yes, I love her. She's awesome.
Look at that, making volleyball connections right and left. Looking at the entire region as a glance, the State College region, I know Maddie B, there's a potential to head back to Penn State. That's pretty cool. There's a good opportunity there. There's a lot of talented teams in this region. I know we don't look past, we've got one game to look at, and that's all we look at right now. But at a glance, what do you guys think about the entire region as a whole?
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously we have some really good competition in this bracket, and I know one game at a time, things like that, but every game is going to be a battle. So I think that, you know, having to show up and be ready no matter who's on the other side of the net is going to be our focus. And I think that, I mean, this whole month of December is going to be some really good volleyball.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't work for ESPN, so I don't have to ask those easy questions. I'm going to ask this. I'm guessing, you know, you guys come up short, you're going to be disappointed anyways, right? So do you get tired of people like us saying, right, like that you just have to go out and prove it, right? Are you guys just ready to go play like a Texas and take them on and shut people like us up and say, hey, we can beat those teams, right? We just got to get a chance to play them. I mean, do you get tired of hearing Creighton plays in the Big East and Creighton plays in the Big East and they don't play in a good conference? And I mean, are you just tired of hearing that and you want to go play Texas or USC or Penn State and just beat them already and say, see, we've been telling you guys we're damn good?
I think for me, like you just said, play a team like USC, like that's one of the teams we did play and we did beat this preseason. And so I think Booth scheduling hard preseasons for us is our opportunity to go out and prove it. And I think the people saying that our conference schedule isn't hard enough and that's what brings us down just gives us a little bit more fuel to go out and play with fire and I guess prove it. Yeah, but it's more also proving it to ourselves too and just celebrating each other and playing the best we know that we can, regardless of for anyone else. It's for us too.
Right. What about Texas? Not USC. What about Texas?
Yeah, I think that would be a fun matchup. They have a very similar team to last year. They've kind of been up and down this year, but I think they're going to turn it on for the tournament. And so I think if we do get to that point, it would be a super fun, scrappy game. Yeah, and I think a win like that would be huge to prove ourselves. And I know we're all super motivated to do that and to make it further than we did last year.
Right.
With upsetting loss. So, yeah, I think we're just super excited to prove ourselves. But, yeah, we can't even overlook these first few games because every game is going to be tough in the tournament. And so, like we've been saying, though, I think it's just super excited. We just need to play our game. That'll be the most important.
And before we go, because you guys have been so is it one time to the Elite Eight? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Right. One time to the Elite Eight. Yeah. And to do something that a program's never done. I mean, that's doing something the program's never done, right? And to be remembered. Do you guys ever, because Sydney's told us how big of a senior group this is seniors, do you guys ever talk about that? Like doing something nobody's ever done? You can tell us. Nobody's watching. It's just our little secret. Like, do you guys talk about that?
I mean, I don't know if we necessarily talk about it, but the team that did make it to the Elite Eight, they came back and watched one of our games. And when they came to the locker room and talked to us, and it was just super cool to see. They're all still really close and how far they did make it and how much of an impact they've had on the program. So we think it'd be super cool to make it to that point as well because we know we could make it there.
Yeah. All right, Mac. I didn't
watch you guys. No, I'm excited to watch you guys. I think you guys have had such a successful year. It was cool to get to see you guys in person this season. Thanks for the tickets, Maddie B. And I'm excited to, I think that if I'm Texas, I'm scared to see Creighton. That's all I'll say. I think you guys have proved yourself quite a bit this season, and I'm looking forward to watching some really good volleyball.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Good luck. That place. What does DJ Sokol hold? Do you guys know?
DJ's out.
Is it Sokol?
Oh,
So
Yeah.
it holds close to 3,000, right?
Yeah.
Little under,
And that's probably already sold out, I'm guessing, for the weekend. That place will be loud. Good. Well, enjoy it. Keep playing. Prove all the naysayers wrong, right? And we'll see you in Louisville, right? And since I was one of them, maybe, I don't know, we'll have to check with compliance, but I can buy you a team meal or something for shooting my mouth off. All right. Have fun. Sydney, you just keep writing away, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you guys for joining. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care, you guys. Great
See you
Blue
guys.
Jays on a mission. On a mission.
Roll Jays.
All right. And now we'll keep going. We have one more from the region. We did a good job scheduling. We did a really good job scheduling this region. We might get to the other two, but let's bring in a Big Ten champion, Carolyn Jaravicious. Carolyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Carolyn, I don't know if you remember, but I interviewed you at like 6:30 in the morning after your recruiting trip. You were tired after your recruiting trip to State College.
Yep. That was
almost a year ago.
That is crazy. I was just thinking about that. Excuse me. My voice is gone.
She texted me, Carolyn texted me and was like, hey, my voice is gone. Hope that's okay. And I was like, your voice is gone after you won the Big Ten championship. I wonder why.
We totally forgive you. Congratulations. How did you feel Wednesday night?
I don't know if there are words to really describe the emotions going into something like that. This is crazy.
You're good.
There are really no words to describe the emotions going into something like that. And I think that's kind of how it was as a whole for the team. So we kind of just fed off the fact that we were going to make something out of it together. And that's what kind of grounded us.
Yeah. I want to ask, Darren will make fun of me because he says I never hit the hard hit or ask the hard hitters, but I want to go straight at it. Like, how fired up were you to play your old team and then to have the success that you had against that group? Like, I know you do have some respect for that group and a lot of friends on that team, but like, how awesome was that to freaking go off the way you did?
Well, I'll tell you, the mental prep started a couple of weeks ago. It definitely wasn't a night before thing. Yeah, I mean, it's been something that's been on my mind since I saw the conference schedule. And I mean, to be honest, it kind of just solidifies the fact that work pays off and the mental work is just as important as the physical work.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I had some things to prove in my mind, just some personal stuff. And I am very grateful that I have teammates and a family and a coaching staff that rallied around me.
Yeah.
Well, and it's great. You went, I mean, when we talked before, and that doesn't have to be bad. People transfer for all kinds of reasons. And you were very upfront and honest when we talked. And last year was emotionally tough year for you. And you overcame that. And a lot of it was because I think you knew, and you talked about, you probably knew you were a Nittany Lion from the beginning. So part of it's probably knowing you're home now.
Yeah.
And to do that. And, you know, I mean, it's okay. You know, Landfair went to Nebraska and people don't have any problem talking about her playing Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's totally okay to talk about you playing Nebraska, right?
Yep.
And it's works both ways, people. And it does. and that's totally okay. And I thought it was great, and Mendelson as well, that people go there, and that was great to see, because you went through a tough year and overcome that and show that you are a really, really good volleyball player. And it's part of what we are trying to teach prospects with what we're doing, is the research on the front end of make sure you do that homework up front, right? So you don't have to go through the tough year the first time is great. And because it was an emotional tough year for you. So congratulations. But I just think that you're home, right? And that's the cool thing, and you're taking a program that is a storied program, and not that it went through down years, but for their expectations has been down a little bit. And to see with Coach Katie and her story, and it's just a cool story. What you guys all have been able to do. And
yeah, I think you guys you're so strong. You guys are in a really good role right now, and Big Ten champs, and I'm very excited for you guys. But I hope it's okay to shift gears, Karen, but I want to talk about the place you guys are finding yourself in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being Big Ten champs is huge and puts you guys at a hosting position, and your whole season put you at a hosting position. How are you feeling from a team representative? We talked to Brian, we talked to Coach Toron earlier, but we want to hear from you about how the team's feeling about where you guys are seated heading into postseason.
Yeah, I think there's no place like Rec Hall, and to have the ability to get to stay there a little bit longer, 2 more weeks, that's an amazing advantage, and we're all just super excited for it.
Do you, because I have to ask these questions, because you guys have been a little up and down at times. I was at the pit match, which was a little tough, but do you guys worry at all about being so high off the Nebraska match that there might be just a little bit of letdown?
I think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But for now, I think we got to just focus on the fact that we have some good teams ahead of us. And again, can't rest on our laurels. Go into work tomorrow, figure it out, and start prepping for game 1 on Thursday.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What did you learn?
Oh, yeah, you go. Go ahead.
Sorry. What did you learn after the Wisconsin match, which wasn't a great night for you guys, to rebound? Because I thought you showed a ton of growth after Wisconsin to Nebraska.
They're going to get theirs. They get paid too. That's kind of how it works. And it's your job to just get out of your head, get in the gym, figure it out. Because there's no use being mad about it. Even 30 minutes after what's done is done. How can you attack the next day?
I like that. They get paid too. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah.
Okay, so at a glance, the entire bracket, I mean, I think there's a lot of good teams, a lot of good potential storylines, so to speak. That's what we keep calling them, coming into Rec Hall. As a volleyball fan, that, like, I know we all are volleyball fans too, even if we play. How do you feel about the other teams in the region, those matchups that you're going to get to watch? Maybe not necessarily even play some of those teams, but just the region in whole.
Yeah, I think it's a group of super talented teams. And I think there could be some upsets. I think it's just going to be some really competitive volleyball.
The water. Yeah, I think
Volleyball.
yeah, it's going to be some really good volleyball. Because we just talked to the Creighton girls in the Big East, and we talked about how everyone comments on how they play in the Big East. It's not a good conference, so they're not battle tested. You guys are basically the exact opposite of that, and you are battle tested day in and day out in the Big Ten. How does that help you go into postseason?
I think that it gives us a little bit of confidence that we know what we're getting into, and we know we can handle anything that's thrown at us. But at the end of the day, game respect game. Got to look at these girls and know that they're going to come to win, and so are we. So just got to take care of things.
Do you think you guys have Big Ten champs? Like, that's a big title. Do you think you have a little bit of a target on your back?
I think Penn State volleyball always has a target on its back.
Absolutely. You are Exactly right.
Can we hire her? Caroline, you're one of my favorites. I'm
a journalism major. You got me if you need me.
No, I can only afford one Penn State journalism major, I think, on the payroll. Who's the leader, or do you have a group? Like, if there's somebody when you guys struggle out of the gate, or is there a leader right now? Is it a group effort, or is there somebody who's like, let's go?
I think the answer right at the top of my head right now is Jess Merzick, just considering the fact that she is such an experienced and seasoned player. I stand by the fact that I think she is the greatest player I've ever played with. Just as far as her attitude and I respond to aggressiveness, and she's got me on that front. But I think the one that goes a little bit under the radar is Jillian Grimes, our libero. She is a go-getter. She will scream in your face when you need it. She will scream in your face when you don't need it, but she is always there and always pushing the people around you to be better. So I think my 2 votes would definitely go to those 2.
I want to touch on that because Jilly G seems like she kind of came into herself this season, because I think last year I was on the court with her quite a bit and she was a little bit reserved, but it almost seems like she's got that chip on her shoulder this year that you want from a libero. Like, she is leading that backcourt, and like you said, she's going to be in your face. Talked to Jess early in the season, I think after the Pitt match, and Jess was like, yeah, Jill is telling the blockers to do their effing job and like all up in their faces. So like, that's huge. I mean, you were there in the summer. Was she like that in the summer? Has that improved since the summer? You know, like, has she grown a ton over this short amount of time? Because it wasn't as strong when I was there.
No, I think in the spring we were just all starting to get to know each other. And then once like preseason started, we're all kind of like, okay, like we can do something this season. And she started to come into herself once we all got a little bit more confidence and started setting a standard for what we want to accomplish this season. And she is relentlessly chasing that with how she carries herself and has everybody carry themselves around her.
It's cool. It's really cool to see.
All right, we're going to let you get rolling and enjoy whatever rest of your night you have left in prep time. Do you guys know if you play Thursday or Friday yet?
Can you repeat that question, please?
Oh, yeah. Do you guys know if you play Thursday or Friday yet?
I am not 100% sure. I was kind of more focused on looking at the bracket. So if they said it, I have no idea.
You missed it.
But I'll be there when they tell me to, and Penn State volleyball is ready to go.
Love it.
Caroline, that's awesome. So happy for you in the season that you've had. Keep killing it. And hopefully I can't say that. Whoever makes it out of this bracket, there's about 5 teams I'm really cheering for, but you guys are definitely one of them. I have a lot of favorites in this bracket, but
I'll be repping my Penn State Nittany Lions. Don't you worry.
As long as you got it, we're all good.
Hey, I got a Penn State hoodie too that we wear for Coach when we do our podcast. So we're pulling for you. But no, so awesome to watch you play well the other night, and congrats on the Big Ten title.
Thanks so much.
Have a great tournament. So thanks for joining us. Okay.
Thank you for having me. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye. Take care. Hey, we're into player time. We're gonna keep going. We'll get to those other. My gosh, we had this. Well, let's just stay with this region, and let's find out if this next libero is in her teammate's face, and if she's yelling. Is she a yeller?
I don't know, but I would bet she is. She's got that libero chip on her shoulder that you want for someone leading your backcourt.
I watched her for 2 matches. I don't know if I saw her yell at anybody, but Emma Halter, Texas. Emma, are you a yeller? Are you getting in people's faces and yelling at them?
I am definitely an excited yeller. I'm not very much of I'm going to tell you how to do your job, but I will definitely encourage you. I've had to step a little bit more into that role this year of trying to give that constructive criticism, but I'm more of like an energy bunny.
There you go. Well, one of my cooler stories from the volleyball season. It wasn't the greatest weekend in Austin, Texas, but the coolest story from the weekend in Austin, Texas is I turn around in warmups and the picture, you probably saw it because it went all over social media, not mine, but the UT fan page, the girl that drove from Michigan.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was. And she was like, she kept like trying to inch her way as close to the court as she could during warmups with her little sign. And she's like, I drove all the way from Michigan to watch Emma Halter play. And I'm like, okay, that's the stuff, because we tell the club athletes, like, you guys don't get this. Like, this is why you can't be jerks, more or less. Like, you got to be great kid. Like, you got to be good role models. You got to act the right way, because whether you guys believe it or not,
They're
like
watching.
12-year-old.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I had to ask the powers that be, like, is Emma a good person? And then they gave me the vote of confidence that you are. So thank you.
Well, thanks. That's
Yeah.
very
But I was like, yeah. So then I had to go off on my soapbox and
It was
type way
really
too
cool.
much.
I made sure, like, when I was doing my warm-ups, I was like, hi,
Yeah.
hi. That's so awesome. Thank you. That makes my day just as much as like my wave makes her day. So
Mhm.
Yeah. I know. Well, so then playing, if first of all, let's talk about December memories and what's it like to win a national title, first of all, for those of us that don't have a ring.
yeah. Honestly, it's probably the most rewarding feeling in the world. I feel like at first you're in pure shock. You're just super excited. And then after, like, even until now, like, you just feel so grateful, I think is the main thing. Like, you go every single day, you're battling with your best friends, you're practicing your whole entire career for moments like that. And so to be able to come out on top is super rewarding and just makes you feel really grateful for all the hard work that you've put in with your friends.
Yeah. And we've talked about your guys' bracket ad nauseum, so we could just ask you cool questions. So Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, we've talked to that bracket so much. Well, I asked your coach, we talked to David Hunt earlier, and I asked him, like, do you guys talk about the fact, like, you won a national championship last year? What does the returning national championship team talk about going into the next season? So, like, early this season, is there any talk about what happened last year? Is there, like, does that come up at all? How do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, so it does come up occasionally. I mean, it's talked about a lot by a lot of different people, so it's going to come up, but we try not to make it a main focus or a focus at all. Like, this is a whole new team, this is a whole new year, we have a whole new goal. The goal is the same, to win the national championship, but it's with a whole different group of girls, and we're going to get there a whole different way. So we try not to talk about last year, but occasionally, like, moments will come up and it'll be like, wow, like, hey, we lost last year too. Like,
Yeah.
and that's okay. You learn a lot from those games, and we lost the year before that too. Like, it's really hard to win. And so just to, like, be able to learn from those experiences and have girls that have played in national championships be able to bring that knowledge and be like, hey, it is okay. Yes, it sucks and you should feel that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, we're going to bounce back. And so I think being able to have those experiences from a national championship team who didn't win all the time has been the way that it's helped us the most this year.
I have been saying that if I was playing right now and I was on any team in the country, I know I would not want to see Texas, because I just think you guys have had a little bit of up and down rocky season a little bit, but I still think you guys are that same national championship level caliber team that's now at, what are you guys, a 3 seed overall? So in that region. So it's just it's a tough place to be, but can you tell me a little bit about how those losses and maybe that a little bit of adversity that you guys have faced is going to help you heading into this postseason?
Yeah. Those losses showed us a lot about ourselves and just a lot of the things that we need to work on. I think we were pretty undisciplined in a lot of areas at the beginning of the season, and you don't even realize until you're losing. You're like, I think I'm doing this right and thinking I'm doing this right. And then you look back and you're like, okay, coach just showed me all the ways that I was doing that wrong. And that goes for every single position on the court. And so those losses led us to go dive in deeper into the film and dive into games that we weren't playing up to our caliber. And that's helped us a lot to just grow. We changed our lineup in a few different ways, and we've been able to experiment with a lot of different players. I think that's also helped us a lot. But we've also been able to kind of take that underdog mentality, and I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think being the underdog is kind of fun. We were the underdog last year, so I mean, we're ready to prove people wrong.
Yeah. You guys are in the SEC, and the SEC is a tough conference. Has playing in the SEC helped at all? Do you think, like, battle tested wise?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so. Every single team that we play is amazing. I mean, everyone has amazing hitters, amazing back row. There's so many great rallies. And so I definitely think it's helped a lot. We have been tested every single game night. So being able to have that and learn from those experiences has definitely been helpful.
Mhm.
Okay, so I get to Mac asks all the nice questions, and I get asked the tough.
That's okay.
All right.
I think.
Yeah,
So is there ever a time, because I look around and it's like you have pro volleyball players everywhere on the court.
hmm
Do you guys ever just at times like this year be like, what the heck is going on? Like, because you have been so up and down, right? And
hmm
and everybody tells me, because I get it, I don't understand the game. When you tell me we're figuring things out, but there's so much talent.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get frustrated? Or have
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, after a couple of the losses, we go into the locker room and we're like, look around at each other. And obviously, we find things to say. And there's always something to say. But one game, we were like, we all busted our tail. Like, I do not know what happened. And that's when we kind of look at the coaches and we were like, we talked. We know that we worked super hard and we need help. Basically, like obviously the coaches are doing all that they can every single day. And so we kind of talked to them about the things that we think we need to work on, things they can help us with. And then we went back to the drawing board. We made a standards list. We were like, okay, if we're giving 100% effort on the court every single day, maybe there's something we can do that can help us stay a little more focused or disciplined or whatever. Made a standards list, made it all cute, printed it out. It's in our locker room, in our lockers now, just trying to find different things that would like help us in different ways. Because yeah, sometimes you don't know what is going on. Like you're out there, our chemistry is amazing. We have great eye contact. We're cheering for each other. Every single person is giving their all out effort every single day. And so it is frustrating at times, but it feels like things are clicking. And I think that frustration has helped us to all grow closer in a bunch of different ways. Because when you're frustrated, you have to learn how to communicate really well. So I think it's definitely helped us. But yes, it is frustrating occasionally, but we all battle together and do a really good job of handling it as a team and not as individual people.
Yeah, so that's my other thing, because you're at Texas,
Mhm.
right? And we asked David this too, and you
good enough.
staffs that
You glitched.
You froze up there.
sorry, but I'm able to flat out ask your staff,
Yeah.
and they don't take it personal. When I just say, what the heck's going on, right? Like, why aren't you guys better? And they don't like not talk to me for a year, right? Like they just try and explain. But you, because you are trying new things, do you think it's something that you guys feel like, all right, it's tournament time, we're going to play our best volleyball?
I do not feel that way about our like obviously in the tournament time you're wanting to play your best volleyball, but I think we're wanting to play our best volleyball all the time. It just sometimes will take a minute. And I think that's what's happened this year. It's like, okay, we're figuring out who we can go to in certain moments. We're figuring out who passes well between each other, who's better taking this seam or that seam, who's our best server in X, Y, and Z moments. So just things that needed to be weeded out throughout the season. But I don't think it's like we're like, okay, yeah, now we're gonna turn it on. It's definitely not that.
Right. We talk
Yeah.
about a lot though, like everyone says in basketball, you want to peak in March.
Yeah.
And I feel like in volleyball, we talk about that too. Like you want to peak in November, December.
For sure.
Do you guys feel like you're finally, maybe not peaking? I don't even want to go there because we want to keep thinking about going up. But like, are you guys at a good place where you feel like everything's clicking and heading into postseason, you're in a good spot?
Yes, I definitely would say so. I feel like right now we're really starting to gel, connecting. Things are feeling like they're starting to flow. There's a lot of confidence in every single area of the game. And so it's definitely feeling really good going into the tournament, feeling that way.
All right, I have two questions, completely serious.
Okay.
One, what is the best tradition? Because you guys got some cool traditions at Texas. What is the coolest tradition? Is it the Eyes of Texas? or between
there an
all the
org?
chants
I was like-
and all of the chants that they do and all of the, what are the 3 songs that they do
Oh gosh.
pregame?
She's like, I go out there and play volleyball.
I don't know the names of all of them. I could say them all to you, but I don't know the names of all of them.
My favorite was the Eyes of Texas.
I
Well,
love the Eyes of Texas. I would say mine's not exactly like a song. Like there's just a lot of different things that we do that are like discipline oriented, and I love that. One thing that always sticks out to me, this sounds silly, I know, but in like the weight room or anywhere you go on the campus, everything has the horns on it, and the horns have to be up everywhere. Like if you're putting a weight back, if the horns aren't up, like someone's gonna tell you that you need to put the horns up. Just things like that. That's so much discipline and just a lot of respect and pride for your school spirit. I just absolutely love.
I like that. We have the same one at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Always like there's a big block O in the middle of the floor in the weight room too, and you're not allowed to walk across the floor. The O always has to be straight up and down. It can't be sideways. So yeah, that's cool.
I love that.
Then my other question, does the libero get a Lamborghini also, or was that just the quarterback?
Just the quarterback.
Okay, I didn't know.
Oh, man.
That'd have been cool.
I do not. I drive a Nissan Rogue, so.
Me
Okay,
too.
No
Great
way.
car. Yeah.
I
love
saw
my
12 of them
Me
parked
too.
out front in August or on recruiting day, so I didn't know if you
They're
got
beautiful
one.
cars. Yeah, just not mine.
They were beautiful. They were beautiful. All right, so let me ask you this, and then I'll be done. The other 3 regions, what are your takes? Any thoughts on the other 3 who you think might go to the Final Four? Because obviously Texas is going.
Honestly, just looking at the bracket, there's so many great teams playing great teams. Everyone right now can be upset. Anyone can beat anyone. And so I'm really excited to just see how all of this pans out. I don't know what the Final Four is going to look like. I obviously am praying that we're there, and I know that we can get there. We have the work ethic to do it and the mindset to do it. But yeah, I just think it's going to be a lot of great games, a lot of cool upsets, and I'm excited to watch.
Absolutely. Mackie, any more for Emma?
No, that was it. It was nice talking to you. I don't think I've actually met you, so it was
I
nice.
know, I've never met you either. But it was nice to talk to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma, you had an awesome attitude. We appreciate it, and we will be tuning in. Next time we talk to you, I have to ask you about the Texas culture that we've heard so many great things about, okay?
Okay, sweet. I'll be ready.
All right, good luck going for the 3-peat.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Yep, take care, Emma.
You too.
All right. From that, we'll move in, and I think there's the last set of guests, but we've had some good ones.
Oh yeah, so far so good. A lot of good conversation.
I mean, I think we've had better ones than any other bracket show out there.
Absolutely. Next
A-list.
Oh.
All right, and why wouldn't you end with some athletes from the #1 overall seed, Pitt Panthers? How many times has that been said in NCAA volleyball history?
The #1 overall seed, Pitt Panthers?
Yeah.
Has it ever been said?
0. This is the first time ever.
Look at that.
Flood and Emmy
Hey.
Kelton. How are you?
Good. How are you? Really trying to
Good.
There we go.
Mac, how are you?
Snuggle in
Wait.
there.
Let me fix this.
Let me fix it.
There we go. Now you can get
There
both
we
of us.
go. Did you guys have like a team get together or?
So we watched in our basketball gym on the court with a bunch of our family members, our coaches' family members, and then some of our biggest supporters. So that was pretty special. And we've never been live streamed before, I don't think. So we got that today.
That's fun.
Yeah.
You're
A lot
big.
of big things happen when you're the 1 seed.
Yeah. Crazy. Honestly, crazy. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, how
It
is
is.
that? Like diving straight in. How like #1 overall.
It's definitely cool. Just making history here, like in this program. But it's also, we know, I mean, just from the season, we know we have a target on our back. Being #1, we have gotten like every team's best game. So preparing like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it just makes it harder going into the tournament knowing we are at the top.
Mhm.
Everyone's going to want to upset the number one. I feel like it's never the same with like the 2 or the 3. Everyone's going to want to beat us.
Yeah. And it's also like, I mean, we talk about it, but like rankings and throughout the seasons doesn't really matter once you get to December. It's anyone's game. Everyone's playing their best. Everyone wants to beat everyone. So I don't think we don't take that as like something that we can like, oh, we can let off the gas because we earned this seed. It's like honestly motivation to like defend it.
Yeah, going off of that, do you think that you guys are playing some of your best volleyball right now heading into this postseason?
So I think that ending the season with Louisville and Georgia Tech obviously was interesting. Georgia Tech gave us their best game, their best defensive game I think I've ever seen them play in whatever it was, my 5 years, her 4 years. But it was definitely a good battle for us. We needed to go to that 5th set, get that 17-15 in, honestly, because that's how it's going to be. Then Louisville was huge for us. Obviously, they fought pretty hard, but I think that how we played and how mature even our youngest players were going into that gave us the confidence that we needed, even if we didn't have like someone had like their best game they've ever played. But I think that it definitely gave us what we needed to go in with the best play.
Yeah, it's almost like you want to get that tough game out of the way. It's like everybody going into the postseason with no losses is almost like even more pressure. And you have a loss, but then you hadn't played a 15-15 in the 5th set yet. You got that under your belt. So all of those things, you kind of like checked a lot of boxes there at the end of the season, ready to roll. We talked to your coach a little bit ago just about the pressure of it all and kind of the noise. And with success comes a lot of outside noise, and a lot of it's good, like a lot of awards and accolades for a lot of girls in your team. How do you guys navigate that as a team? Because at the end of the day, those awards are just noise. And even though they may shine a good light on your program, it can be a lot sometimes. So how do you guys keep your goal focused while still celebrating those little wins?
We have like lots of meetings as a team, like with the coaches, and kind of address all of it before it's a thing. So like we'll talk about like, okay, what are some possible things that are coming up in December that will create that noise, and then we kind of collectively make it like a group effort to like block out as much of it as we can, and just know that like focusing on the vibe of the team and like how we're performing and the effort and how we're preparing for every game, like that's what matters. Obviously, like you said, the awards are nice to like bring attention to the program, to reward like some of the girls that have been having just incredible seasons. But at the end of the day, we all have like the same goal of winning the national championship. So it's just managing the different pressures and noise that comes our way with that.
Yeah. And we talk about our 5-foot world. Obviously with us having like the 3 nominations for player of the year, and that's the most out of whatever any team in the NCAA. It's really, it's been hard for those 3 girls to even like get a big head about it. Like we don't hear anything about it. And that's something that's like that positive noise that like we worry about with being number 1. That's honestly been like the worst of all of it. It's just been that worry. We deal with the negative noise really well, I think, because officially it's a great example of it. He's so unbothered by all of it. And obviously like Kellen and Michael and Kamar are very level-headed, and obviously we read all of this stuff, but it's never been a huge thing for us.
What's different about this year's team compared to last year's team? Because so many of you are the same. The team's so similar. What's different about this year compared to last year?
Experience. We all want it so bad. Like we want it for each other. Like I don't even really want it for myself. Like I want it for Emmy. I want it for Rachel. I want it for Tori. I want it for Valeria. Like it's just been, it's been like great. We get to the Final Four, but we've always been hungry for more. And you know that when there's like, we're not fulfilled by even going to do something historical, like that feels like the biggest difference, I think.
I also feel like there's like some like a different type of stamina that the team has had this year, just like maintaining like the level of play and the standards every single day in the gym. It just feels like everyone is like so on the same page, and like the standard that the coaches set, like we all strive to like meet it or exceed it day in, day out. And it feels like we've been able to like keep that up over a long season, which is hard to do. And like we've had experience like bumps in the road, and obviously not everything is always great, but I think this year more than others, it's felt more like seamless and like a united effort.
Yeah. I want to talk about the ACC. So I think the ACC is as tough as it's ever been. I mean, I'm a Big Ten girl, so I've always been biased towards the Big Ten, but like it's a hard argument now to say that the Big Ten is exclusively the only conference in the country that has good volleyball, because the ACC was so strong this year. How has the ACC and playing in that conference prepared you guys going into the postseason?
Well, I mean, it's there's nine, I believe, in the tournament, and 8 of them were seeded opponents. Even UNC and Florida State, Miami, who aren't in the top 10, were 1 through 8. And every game was just like a match that we had to mentally prepare for could be the best game they've ever played against us. And that's how you prepare for the tournament too.
Yeah, I would say like we talk about it throughout the like ACC season, like when we meet a team that's like maybe they're not ranked, maybe they're like in the 20s, it's like this is a team that we're going to need to beat in December. So it was kind of like we got a lot of experience playing in games that were similar to the ones that we're going to be playing in coming up here, which is obviously so good that we have had a lot of experience, and I would say have been battle tested. Even if it wasn't like they were all 5-setters, like I still feel like we had that level of preparation and focus and respect for all the teams that we played, that like it was the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Speaking of that battle testing, you guys talked on it a little bit, but like I want to go back to the fact that you have been to national championship after national championship. Like that's got to sting a little bit to have fallen short a few too many times, I'm sure, for your guys' standards. Do you talk about that? Do you bring it up, or is it just like something that exists?
Oh yeah. I mean, we talk about all the time. It's just like it's like special joke about me. He's like, am I gonna be the coach that gets stuck at the Final Four every year? And we're like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously every loss hurts. I don't even remember losing to Florida State. I don't remember losing to BYU. I don't remember losing years ago. It's just like that loss to Nebraska, the loss to Louisville, the loss to Nebraska again, obviously. It's so painful.
Yeah, I think it's not something that we're like afraid to talk about, just in terms of like facing like our failures straight in the face and being like, what is the difference we need to make this year? So that's not so we're not getting the same outcome. And just learning from the past. I mean, it's as much as it sucks losing in the past 3 Final Fours, you can still be like, we've been to the past 3. So like there's a lot to learn from that, and a lot of experience and like confidence that we have been on that stage before.
It's kind of like who's better than who else.
Like, that. One thing I've mentioned time after time when I watched you, first of all, when I went to the Penn State match, and we see what Penn State has done now. And they're not a bad team. They're a 1 seed. It's just how you guys play. And I keep making the joke that you might win the semifinal and then you guys might go get in a bar fight in downtown Louisville. Like it's probably not political. But that's the look that you guys have. Like you're not satisfied just winning the match. You have this look like we want to hurt you, right? I mean, it's this look like, get out of our way.
Yeah. We talk about it actually. We've been
Getting in the bar fight or
the sass. Our sass levels on this team are like incredulous. But it's great. We train it. Like we train to be sassy. We train to have the fire. Like that's like you need to have that to go against whatever in the ACC with 3 teams in the top 5, 5 in the top 10. It's like you kind of need to have that edge.
Yeah. No, I spent all 4 years, I think, at Ohio State. We went to Pitt every single year to do like a preseason scrimmage in spring, I think every single year. And you guys are like that in practice too. Like you guys have, but like it's good. Like you've got to train a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I think it was something that we even talked about in our gym at Ohio State, taking from your gym about how like you guys have like a little edge to you, and it's what pushes you over the, so to speak, edge, you know? And it's good. I like it.
Well, I always thought it was Fish always felt like you guys always had this chip that you were so overlooked, underrated, right? Like, and now I think you guys have earned, and it took way too long to get the respect on the national level, but Fish always felt like nobody talked about Pitt, and they didn't. Even last year, Louisville was kind of the story.
Yeah.
And we get that, right? Danny played in Nebraska. That's that sells a lot more tickets.
For sure.
But it was always like Fish and Pitt, Pittsburgh's a tough guy town. It's right. And you guys embodied that perfectly, the program. And that's how you play. But this year, it's not a trash talking. It's not a taunting. It's we just kicked your butt. So what? That's what we were here to do. I don't mean that. I don't mean that negative.
No.
I just,
That's a good thing. Yeah.
like when you beat Penn State, it was like nobody was surprised on your side that you did that.
Yeah.
Like that's what we expected to do. And they had a lot of younger athletes that were like, whoa, what just hit us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. And then when I say you play Louisville, it was kind of the same thing. Even the set you lost, you were looking around like, what the heck did we just do that set?
I know. I remember we all looked around and we were like, that's not happening again.
Yeah. Yeah. And not that they played bad. Like they should win a set. They're a very, very good team. And you guys were not panicked, not bad. It was almost like, what did we do wrong that we dropped a set? That's not what we're here to do. I don't know how making any sense, but I've told Mac that how many times, like they just look so intense.
Yeah.
They're playing like they're so on a mission.
You've used the bar fight analogy quite a few.
Well,
That's so funny.
That's so funny.
It's so
and I
ironic.
think like Bree Kelly coming back now from a year injured, not playing and appreciating it that much more, right? And the
So
two
much.
sophomores aren't like deer in the headlights. They're experienced and super talented. I think it's that. But the ritual as you guys go through, Fish and that staff seem like day one NCAA tournament, flip a page, throw it down. You guys have that memorized. Is that how that program is? Like 5:45 a.m. day one NCAA tournament, boom. Day two, like, is it the same every year or?
You mean like day one as in like when we start the season, or like day one of the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, like they have a routine, a very set routine.
Oh, yeah. Decently.
I feel like we do a lot, like especially in in game days and preparing. A lot of it is
definitely.
very like structured, disciplined, like preparing for every game like it's the national championship. Like we talk about that throughout the course of the season. Like if would you be doing XYZ if we were playing in the Elite Eight tomorrow? Like, you know, so just like making sure we're taking every single game like so seriously and preparing the same way. So we're like getting the repetitions of preparing for the games that we're going to be playing in December.
You guys have been there quite a few times. Do you do the same thing is every year different, or do you feel like it's like, okay, you know where you're at, we can't touch the balls till we got to go warm up the same way on the backcourt, like you know what to do, you've been there, so like is it just like another year, another thing, or is it like, okay, this is serious time now, you know? You treat it any differently?
I think the past, first year, obviously, I think it was different. We didn't know it was coming. We didn't know the media. We didn't know the practice. We didn't know where people were supposed to be. We didn't know hotel. We didn't know whatever. Second year, we kind of were like, okay, we got this. So whatever that was, Columbus. Omaha, second one. And then last year in Tampa, we were like, okay, we can chill out. I think we chilled out a little bit too much because we were like, we know what we're doing. I think this year, I think it's going to be more, we'll be more intentional. We'll soak in the whole experience, but I think like we know what we want to do. Like we know what we want to do now. And so like that media is not going to bother us. Everybody who's there is not going to bother us. Who we're playing is not going to bother us. We're going to be very focused on ourselves rather than like them.
I also think that every year the media gets like more and more intense just with the growth of volleyball and how many eyes are on the team. So like every Final Four has been like slightly different. Like last year kind of felt like we were being treated like princesses, and it's like it's kind of been different. So just in enjoying those moments and knowing like it's a good memory, but focused on like the business, like what we're there to do is to win a volleyball game. It doesn't matter if there's 25,000 people watching or like 25 cameras on us. Like it's just
it's just another day in the work and the job.
Emmy, of all the media you've come across in your Final Fours, who asked the hardest questions?
The hardest questions? Oh,
I fear there's a right answer to this.
A right answer?
I fear.
Who doesn't take it easy on you? Who doesn't let you off the hook?
I'm not even sure.
I feel like it's like more the like local people.
Yeah.
Like they want every little nitty gritty detail, which is totally, I mean, because it's our city, they're behind us. Like they want us.
Emmy, look up in the corner. Look at that little logo up in the corner.
This guy.
Yours?
Why are you laughing? VBadrenaline.com.
You're giggling. She's a giggler.
I am a
Don't
giggler.
worry.
No, we don't throw any softballs up there. We ask the hard-hitting questions.
As you should.
Okay, I'll remember that next time.
Oh gosh.
Be ready for it.
Your super senior year. Okay.
Yeah.
we thank you guys. We will let you guys go. The Pittsburgh media. Well, the Steelers are having a great year, so everybody's probably pretty happy around Steeltown this year. So pretty good.
It's us and men's soccer. It's a sports town for sure. The city, it's more than just like the university and students. Like the people in the city are.
We have the whole town behind us right now. So.
Well, and now you guys even have something to cheer for in the summer because Livy Dunn comes. Not the Pirates are any good, but you got Livy Dunn coming every once in a while. So.
Perfect.
She is around,
Right? Well,
she is around quite a lot.
I know. So now the Pirates games are actually they get fans there.
I saw Paul Skeens pitch. It was pretty cool.
All right, we digress. We will let you guys go. Hey, defend that number 1 seed. You could have the big rematch with SMU coming up, maybe.
Yeah,
we'll see. We look forward to it. That was the first
one game at a time.
That's right. We can't talk about till the second weekend. But hey, thank you guys so much. Kat, we do have one question. What happens when the career's over? Does the hair? I mean, does that stick around, or do we retire that, or what?
You guys, one day at a time.
This is her.
All right.
Her identity is in this hair.
We'll let you go. Fish has got you on a curfew. You better get to bed.
Oh. You're funny.
All right. We'll take care of you guys. Good luck.
Thank you.
you.
You too.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
you're welcome. All right. Well, Pitt Panthers, those two. What a great attitude. I don't know how long Kat's been there, but a few Final Fours. So hey, let's hop in. I think we got another we better talk about this other
The only regional we haven't talked about yet.
yeah, this one for sure. Well, and it's a crazy one with some pretty talented teams with Louisville as we go through, and Stanford. Well, I suppose they are the 4-5 though, because with 4-5, the big debate on who was going to get the final number 1 seed. So were you surprised that Louisville got it in front of Stanford?
I actually was. Well, I am, because I'm kind of seeing this for somewhat of the first time, but
Yeah.
I am surprised that Stanford didn't jump ahead of Louisville just with that last match, because, the committee, one thing that they look at is your last 10 matches. Now, I can't go back and know exactly what Louisville's last 10 and Stanford's last 10 look like, but I know the one that's most fresh on everyone's mind is that last match between those two teams where Stanford came out on top. So yeah, I am surprised to see that Louisville still stood the test of time and got that seed. I think it might just honestly be that Louisville has played in a more dominant fashion. I mean, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the committee members that made this decision, but I probably would have fought Stanford over Louisville, even just looking at their records here, 24-4 and 25-5. I would argue Stanford has one less loss. Louisville has one more win, but still, I don't know.
So on ESPN, they did say number 1, strength of schedule and a better conference schedule. Strength of conference schedule is what gave Louisville the nod
Which
over Stanford.
I can see that. Louisville's strength of schedule definitely was probably much tougher. Just thinking back to their preseason, I can remember that, and they definitely were very sure were battle tested. But like playing in the ACC is battle testing itself, So I just Stanford had a tough go of it.
Well, and they said a big deal because Stanford was undefeated at home. Those losses came on the road. With conference in conference play with Pitt and Louisville. And so a big deal when you talk about the possibility of the second weekend. But, when you look at the bottom half with the Kansas that has made, a couple Sweet 16s and has had some success the last 2 years of the tournament, and another veteran team. And then, kind of the enigma that is Florida, that always seems to have a pretty talented team and hasn't made a deep run the last couple tournaments, but we know has talent.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at a potential Sweet 16 match with either probably a Florida or a Kansas for Stanford.
I think that's I also look at a Kansas Florida, that matchup itself.
Yep.
I think about that one and I'm like, oof, I don't know. Kansas last year also hosted their their round of 32, 64-32, and Penn State went in there and upset them. So I think a tough draw for them is Florida. You never want to be that spot that they're in, getting the 3-6. I think last year they were the one getting the number 9 overall. So it was a tough draw for them last season. But I think if I'm Kansas, I want to make it out of that round of 32 this season and avenge what they did last year, not making it out. But Florida's definitely going to be standing in their way. And I mean, NC State is hot. They were one of the last 4 in, but man, they're hot. They're ready to go. That upset over SMU is not a team that I would want to mess with right now. So we could even see them flipping some tables there.
Yep. And we've talked to, you interviewed Luca a couple of weeks ago on signing day, and one of those programs we talk about being on the verge of building program. And so cool to see them get in the tournament and see, win over Florida would do wonders for them in what they're trying to build at NC State. Look over at that other side, Purdue, and all those Big Ten teams where, just
Big Ten heavy.
It's just where Purdue kind of is, where they come in every year with a great team, but they get beat up in conference.
Yeah.
Right. And they're just always that next level in the Big Ten, and always a very solid team, but they're going against Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota every year. But then a young BYU team and the ranking, you better get them because they have some talent soon to be joining the ranks there. ESPN talked about their freshman setter that I didn't know a lot about, but they said was one of the best in the country. So that could be a really good round of 32 match. I look at Northern Iowa versus Illinois, and that might be my favorite 8-9 matchup, or 8 whatever. 8-9 there. And
I was really surprised to see Illinois and Washington. Both of those two teams are two teams that I was surprised to hear their names called. We were texting in the group chat and I was like, wait, Illinois is in? I didn't realize that. I'm really happy for them. I mean, I'm happy for Raina Terry, and she's a senior and fifth-year senior, and it's been a battle for her trying to get the recognition, and for her to make the tournament in her last season is huge. And Coach Thomas, he's really been working hard at making that program what it is. So I'm excited for them and I'm really happy for them. But yeah, that UNI matchup, that could be a real close one there.
They dominated their conference again, and Coach Peterson, the great job that she does every year with that program. And then, the question is Louisville. And I think if I'm Louisville, when I saw this come out, I looked right away and I thought I'd be ecstatic right now with this draw if I'm Louisville.
For sure. I don't think they have an issue coming out of their round of 32. I think they don't have an issue there. I think their Sweet 16 matchup, the Big Ten in me is going to love Purdue on that, but I just don't know if Purdue's going to be able to match up to what the Cardinals have going on. One thing that I look at how many ACC schools and how many Big Ten schools, and I know it's there's so many that are so talented. I just always hate to see Stanford and Louisville are going to match up early potentially, and there's going to be lots of those early matchups of teams like that are just finishing playing. Stanford and Louisville just finished playing. I know they can't adjust it necessarily based on that sort of issue, but it does suck to see that they just finished playing and then they're going to go play potentially again in
the Elite
a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, and now that one actually makes sense because I think that broke down as the true 4-5. So if you're looking at making the last number 1 face the toughest number 2, that makes sense. The one I'm not sure was the Nebraska-Wisconsin.
That's another one. I'm happy to see another matchup between those two. It's hard to beat a team 3 times, I will say that, but.
Yeah, but then you got another 2 ACCs with SMU, Pitt. There'll be it's a rematch. No, I guess Creighton. But I think you had, we talked about that. Let's get into our. Let's add our slides, and some of these we'll skip over. First of all, anybody that is watching, if you want to go to our site, we do this all for free and line up our guests. We do have a spot on the site. First of all, if you're not subscribing, and you can go to vbadrenaline.com and subscribe everything we talk about. We do have Sydney, our super intern. She's done a great job this year with posting college content. Mac obviously has a beat on the pulse of the college games. We are doing more and more college. we're going to shift our attention after this pretty much to straight recruiting. And anybody that's followed us knows we do recruiting in a completely different way, but we're going to that. Everything we've done with our live shows is volunteer and for free. And so there's a spot on the site where friends of VB Adrenaline, if you want to go and appreciate what we've done tonight with our 2-hour live show, you can go and make a donation on our site. It helps all this time that we've put in, and Zach behind the scenes, all of the stats that he's accumulated here. We don't have sponsors that are paying for it. It's our time, and we thank you for that. Just like we did with our signing day special, we had a few people make donations, and all of it goes right back into our live shows. So we thank you if you want to do that, or if you just think our coverage of our recruiting stuff, it helps us right now. As we say, we aren't corporate sponsored by anybody. It's a little mom and pop organization. So go ahead and do that. Friends of VB Adrenaline on our website, or subscribe. We appreciate it. And so a couple of the ones, USC, we've talked about that a little bit, but the USC Texas match, USC, Mac, you've been able to see them in the Big Ten, but talented, but inconsistent this year. You're muted yourself, but sorry
about that.
No, that's all right. But
the noise in my apartment.
Oh, but it seems kind of resemble each other in that fact.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think Texas has more talent.
I would have to agree. I do think Texas has a little bit more talent. They've got more strength. I think they've got more just that overall attitude of like, let's go do this that you need. I think USC hasn't been there before like Texas has. And I just think that type of experience might be the thing that pushes them over the edge of that matchup.
Yep. Another one that we talked to, I mean, this is one after my heart, Minnesota, Kentucky, second round match, and Kentucky 8th straight SEC title with all that they've gone through between the transfers. Their number one freshman All-American recruit blowing out her ACL in the summer, didn't have her at all. Molly Tuzzo becoming the libero about a third of the way through the season. Everything with Emma Grome, you want to talk about underrated setter. Senior that's just kind of done it all for them for 4 years. And then year number 2 for the Gophers under Keegan Cook and that staff, and Melanie Schaffmaster. And great article, by the way, in the Minneapolis Star Tribune a day ago about Melanie and her legacy at the university. And they talked about her going down and Gopher history as a good volleyball player. And she said, her quote was, "I'd rather go down, be remembered for my loyalty." And I thought that was really cool. Sticking through a coaching change, through a number of her teammates transferring and her sticking it out. I really enjoyed that. So you want to go look. Interesting and great article, tells you a lot about her, and 5,000 career assists.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that matchup, what would be your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that one is going to be a barn burner. I don't think I have a true prediction. I think the strength of Kentucky's middles and the strength of Minnesota's middles are pretty similar. I think they're very up and down. It depends on the night and what we're going to get. It's definitely no joke that it's two of the best setters in the country, Emma Grome and Melanie Schaffmaster. I don't have an issue saying that Emma Grome is she is one of the best setters. There's no question about that. I don't think, from what I have seen and from setters and people who know volleyball and know setters, she is not underranked. She is right where she should be, and it's up at the top with the best of the best. So Emma Grome is the real deal, and she runs a really strong offense. So I'm excited to watch her run her offense. And me and Mel have been we've played against each other for as long as I can remember back in the club days. So
Yeah.
I have grown up playing against Mel, and she is the real deal as well. So it's kind of it's an interesting dynamic between the two of them, because Emma is a little bit undersized in all technicalities, and then Melanie is the opposite of undersized. She's taller than me. She's a really dynamic setter from a really high contact point. So it is two very different offenses in that regard, but they're very similar in the sense that it's player for player. We've got a lot of similarities there. I don't know if I could pick one team over the other. It's going to be, I could see that one being a 5-setter late night knife fight.
Geez, we got bar fights, we got knife fights. This volleyball game, it's getting out of control. I will say this, my way too early predictions. Right, a year from now, God willing, but make it a year from now, we will be talking about the Kentucky Wildcats as a 1 seed in a region, and we will be predicting them to go to the Final Four next year. Mark it down.
Okay.
Mark it down, people. Not to put the pressure on. I don't think. Yeah, I do think they'll be going for a 9th straight SEC title, because Texas is going to rebuild a little bit. They're going to be really good. But just mark it down. Way too early predictions, but just
clip that. We'll post it a year from now.
Put it on today. I'm ready. Okay, storylines of the tournament. I hope you agree with these, because I picked them. So, all right. So number 1 storyline: which senior class achieves their destiny? All right. So this Nebraska class is the first class. The first year they had the dream team camp. All right. And I've heard a lot of people say, hey, Lexi's got to win a national title. Which she does. Amazing person. You know what I think about the leadership of those two. And Merritt Beeson, I love her as a leader. Lexi, I think, has to win a title, but Pitt, right, their senior class, ton of experience, have been to 3 Final Fours. Louisville, right, Anna DeBeer came back because the Final Fours in Louisville. So which one?
Yeah. Which senior class can finally do it? I mean, those are 3 senior classes that have been really close and have yet to complete it. I think all of them are going to be fighting each other for that spot. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, really good volleyball, because these senior classes they want it so bad that it's just going to be even more of a fight. It's tough to call. I think, for me personally, I think it's between Pitt and Nebraska, between one of those 2 senior classes. I mean, I love the storyline of DeBeer coming back and it being in Louisville, and I will be the first one to tell you I want a female head coach to win a national championship so bad. But as much as I think Louisville is playing really well, I don't think it's their year this year. I think Pitt or Nebraska, that's honestly my pick for the national championship, is a Pitt-Nebraska final. And we'll see. I don't know if I could pick between those 2 teams. It's going to really come down to who can be more disciplined for longer.
Yeah, the thing with Louisville is DeBeer will have to be such a big part of it for them to advance. She has to be huge, which she struggled a little bit last week, and that they just don't have the multiple options.
Their offense isn't as versatile as the other 2 options up there. They've got the pieces, but not all of them that Pitt and Nebraska have. So I think Anna DeBeer could do it all. If there's anybody in the country that could do it all themselves, it would be Anna DeBeer. Like, she's very talented, and if she's on and all the way on, firing from all cylinders, she's virtually unstoppable. But like you said, is she at that point where she can take over a match at this point in the season? And I just don't know. I don't know. But I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, but when you have, I mean, it's like David, David said earlier, if teams have deficiencies now, these teams will figure out a way to stop them.
Yep.
And it just figured out that Pitt was going to take her away the other night, and there just wasn't enough and Pitt had multiple options. But Nebraska, I think it looks like the year, but now Pitt, Texas could be that wild card that could be in there. But I don't know. I've said it all along that I just feel like Pitt is there, and I would love to ship like a two-way player trade and ship Merritt and Lexi over to Pitt for the tournament for like 2 first rounders to be named later and let them win. But the Pitt kids hurt too, right? Like and we talked about it. The one thing Nebraska has, Pitt has too.
Yep.
And the intimidation thing.
Yeah.
Like
Pitt has that over Nebraska for sure.
Maybe everything the Nebraska Empire and Big Red Nation, I just don't think that might scare everybody else in the tournament, but just not this Pitt team. And because they've dealt with all the heartache and they've dealt with all the hard times and they've been coached hard and they've done all the disappointment. And I just think that's another team, right? And they've beaten Pitt in the Final Four. So if anything, they want revenge for the team that's beat them, right? So all the little intangibles, I would say. But we're getting there, right? We're getting there where everybody knows multiple teams and multiple storylines, which is what makes tournaments great. It's not just about 1 or 2 teams now. You're getting where there's all these great storylines, which is making the sport awesome. So number 2, can any of the talented, inconsistent teams find it for a couple of weekends? Meaning Wisconsin, Texas, SMU, these teams that have shown great flashes, can any of them find it for the first couple weekends of the tournament to make it to the Final Four?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of teams in that boat. I mean, we talked about Oregon earlier. I think they're in that same spot. USC is a little bit right in there as well. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I wish I had a crystal ball, because then I would know it would take all the fun out of the December madness potentially. But right. There are some teams like a Wisconsin that I don't know if they can get their consistency figured out. Like they've got a talented group, and Sarah Franklin is an incredible player, but I just don't think that they've got it under control still. I think having a freshman setter is a lot. Their right side spot has been really spotty and really inconsistent. Their back row is pretty good, but also been a little inconsistent here and there. I know they've had to make some substitutions with injuries here and there in the middle of the season, but I really do think that their inconsistencies are kind of not something that they can overcome. I challenge them to prove me wrong, but I just don't see them overcoming those inconsistencies at this point because they haven't quite yet in the season. I haven't really seen enough of it. SMU is another one that such a wild card. They've been going off and they go and win these huge matches, and then they turn around and they lost one early that I was like, how did this team that just beat Pittsburgh turn around and lose a crazy match? So it's that's part of the fun of tournament is because those teams can maybe finally get consistent for, let's say, 3 matches, and then they end up pushing somebody out and they make a push. But I don't think any of them have it in them to be consistent enough to go extremely far.
Yeah, and it's I think any of them can beat anybody, right? That old cliche.
Yep. For sure.
Anybody can beat anybody on one night,
Mm-hmm.
but they could knock off
Right.
a 1, and then they could turn around and get beat by a 6
Mm-hmm.
themselves. But like I look at an SMU or something like that. I just don't see a tough enough road for any of them where there's a lot of obstacles in their way,
Mm-hmm.
where they maybe have to play great other than a match or two.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Now Texas with USC, if that's USC's night,
Right.
right? And that's not Texas's night, great. But if Texas is above average and USC, that's their down night, Texas probably moves on.
Exactly. Yeah. I think there's going to be quite a bit of that. Who's on and who's not. We'll see
Right.
when it gets there. And I think we'll be able to tell early too with a lot of those teams in those matches.
Yeah. And that is the cool thing. That is the cool thing about volleyball is there is no 3 touchdown lead and shut the TV off and you squeak by and win by a field goal, right? Like
Yep.
you could be completely dominating and one little momentum switch and you lose 3, reverse sweep. It's
Right.
So they just need a point. It completely is never over. So but I don't think you have to. I just don't see the 16 seed this being the year yet. We're quite there yet, just because of the best 3 of 5 scenario. But we'll see. Number 3, go earn the respect, right? And that's great. And I keep bringing up Gonzaga basketball, and they were just that West Coast Conference team that was pretty good for all those years until they knocked out, I think it was North Carolina finally in the tournament. And then all of a sudden they were a legitimate team because they beat North Carolina in like Sweet 16 to go to an Elite 8. And then they became that team that had to be contended with, right? Because they a blue blood, if you will.
Yeah.
So the teams are talking about the regular season's the regular season. You want to be talked about on a higher regard, go beat somebody in the tournament, and then your reputation changes overnight.
Yep. It's a
right?
simple.
Yeah. You are thought of differently in recruiting, by the media, by everything. That's what happened to Pitt. That's what happened to Louisville. That's what happened to Wisconsin back in the day. You get a big tournament win, and the prestige of your tournament, of your program, changes.
100%.
But you got to do it in December, and you got to do it on the court, on TV, and you got to beat somebody with the name if you want people to really respect you, right? And you don't get the chance, wherever. And now when I talk to, I'm not just talking about, Creighton either, like an SMU, right? You want to take that next step. NC State, right? If NC State could get that first round win against Florida,
that'd be big time, because Florida's one of those teams that you're talking about. They're up there. They're prestigious. So yeah, that's very simple. If you want to push your program to the next level, you got to do it in December.
Yeah. And like we talked about, they have the momentum, right? Where they're just kind of bubbling like recruiting wise, right? And it's tough. And that switches the mind of 16-year-olds when they see you on ESPN, because guess what happens? You beat Florida. Now the head coach is on ESPN. Your best player gets an interview.
Yep.
They're showing highlights.
Yeah, it gives you attention.
Right? Yeah, because you just beat Florida. You didn't beat so-and-so, so-and-so. You beat Florida. It doesn't matter if it wasn't Florida's best team ever. You beat Florida. So you want to take that prestige of your program, go beat a brand name school in the tournament and take that next step, right?
Yeah. No,
Simple.
absolutely. It's pretty. I have nothing to add because it's as simple as that.
It's just that easy.
Yep.
Just go beat them, I guess.
Yeah, it's what you got to do.
And it's so simple. People do it all the time. Or
Right.
just go beat Nebraska real quick.
Real quick.
Changes your life. All right, number 4. All right, is this the year that December finally gets some madness?
I think this ties into what we were talking about with number 2 up there, the inconsistencies. So if those inconsistent teams can figure it out for a little bit, they have some real potential to create some madness. I don't think that this is the year that we're going to see the madness of a 16 seed upsetting the number 1 overall. I don't think I would bet all of the top seeded teams make it out of the first round, but I don't know. You never know.
All right, I want another one just because I'm from there. Call me a homer, call me whatever. But this, I've told you about this USD team, not San Diego, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I know their rankings aren't real accurate, but they were last year like the number 5 overall class by one of the other publications. Okay. But for a mid-major, that was really high.
Yeah.
Okay. And they 2 all-conference freshmen, actually from Omaha. I don't think this year, no, but they're basically playing 4 freshmen, a sophomore. This squad be a mid-major. They'll go to a Sweet 16 in the next 4 years.
Interesting.
So mark that down. You got to mark that down, and then Kentucky.
Okay.
Final 4 for next year. Okay. All right. Wichita State. I don't see that. Cleveland State.
No. UNI Illinois is going to be an interesting one just for the sake of it being teams that are.
But that's kind of a coin flip, right? That should be like 8-9.
Yep.
3 Colgate.
I don't see Colgate. The Washington LMU, again, another close one, but right, like you said.
Well, and LMU, they're doing a good job in recruiting too, by the way. No.
NC State, I think your NC State call there with Florida, that's a big one. That's how you changer. That's an upset for sure.
6-11. That's a little madness.
Yeah.
We'd like to get at least 4. All the Cowboys, Cowgirls. All right, let's go Nebraska. Okay, what about Arizona State? We haven't talked about 29-2.
Yeah. I don't know a ton about their team. I mean,
I don't either. They're all brand. I think they got a lot of transfers.
I think they have their entire roster in the portal very recently. So there was a lot of change in that program, but they've been climbing. They've been on the up for quite some time. So even with the coaching switch and a lot of girls leaving, they're looking pretty strong.
That's Zach's crew. Zach's the only smart Tipton. Well, that's not hard to figure out, but he moved to Tempe. So Georgia Tech, how about, could there be a Georgia Tech over the Badgers in the second round?
I mean, if they play like they did against Pittsburgh, then absolutely.
Right. But guess where that
another bit of that inconsistency, And I mean, Tennessee also, they're a tough team that I wouldn't want to see early. They're not as good as they were. They're not as strong as they were last year. Last year, they had a real chance to upset Texas. That was a really close match last year in the NCAA tournament. But I mean, they don't have all the pieces, but they could show up. They're another one of those teams that's if we get their best on that night, then they could do some real damage. And that's how I feel about this entire tournament. I mean, tournaments in general, it's everyone is trying to play their best because it could be the seniors' last chance to ever play volleyball again. It could be, there's just so much riding on the line that these teams are going to show up to the best of their ability, whether they're at the very bottom, they're the last one into the tournament, or they're ranked at the very top.
I am going to pick, the last undefeated team in Division I, South Dakota State.
Yep.
27-2. I'm going to pick them over Miami.
I like that. I could buy that. Coin flip one though, right? 8-9.
That's not madness. What would be madness is if they went to
Nebraska.
the
Gosh.
Bob,
That
and that would be shut down the tournament and type stuff.
Absolute chaos.
But what's that say? The Summit League got 2 tournaments in, or 2 teams in the tournament.
That's cool. That's impressive.
They got as many in as the Big East did.
Mm.
And then this region. Now, that's not happening this year. 3. Can the Islanders knock off the Horns and just end that 3-peat talk?
I don't know anything about them, but I just Texas's inconsistency really could hurt them. It's what Texas are we gonna get, you know?
No.
And we can't be sure. Neither can they. None
They
of them
probably have
want
like 3 Olympians and like 8 pros on that team.
Oh, for sure. They are a little bit on the younger side in some of those spots, though.
Come on. I mean, how hard can it be? Emma Halter.
Yeah, incredible. No,
I mean,
you look at Emma Halter. I mean,
just
either one of their
somewhere in the vicinity of Maddie Skinner, and she just swings as hard as she can.
Yeah. I mean, Jenna Wennis is not a bad outside hitter to have on the other side of her.
Well, then you got freshman. I think you have freshman All-American, Aiden Ames.
Yep. Yeah.
I just don't understand.
All right, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, me either. Okay, I don't see anything in this region.
What's our next question? What's our next?
We've been scratching our head all year on that. All right. Okay. All right. Multiple fan bases finally step up and support their programs. So I'm getting tired of hearing, I want this tournament to be seeded like men's basketball. Let's seed this like a regular tournament. We don't have to have regional seeding. I know it's a money thing, but I mean, we're funding 2 pro volleyball leagues now. Let's just fund this like the men's basketball tournament, have it be a real tournament. And let's I don't want to hear about, oh, we have to have this team make it or nobody will show up for the Final Four. Pitt, right? The Pitt people will travel. I mean,
the Huskers always travel. That's not.
I know. Wisconsin, right? But can we get by that where we just say volleyball is big enough, the Final Four will sell out?
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
It does.
So we don't have to worry about
4 years, like 4 or 5 years.
Huh?
It has lost like 4 or 5 years.
Right. But I think there's always been one of those blue blood programs in it.
Right.
So what I mean is it's time for more fan bases to just let's go, pony up, support your schools, show up, hit the road, support them, and let's not make this about just like 4 programs that are pretty much all in the Big Ten.
Yeah. I mean, that's a call to action. Let's see if they can do it. I don't know that. I don't know. I think that there's too much, like you said, until a team upsets somebody, until they prove themselves, like am I really going to fly across the country to go watch my team lose? I don't want to do that. So until like they prove themselves and they become one of those blue bloods, like you're saying, those guys always have the fans travel. So I think fandom and fan bases come when you prove yourself.
Well, the SEC is horrible.
Yeah, and I think that we talked about that in our podcast this week, just that the SEC doesn't support volleyball like they should. And so if they're not supporting volleyball like they should, the fans never are going to come. I mean, I think fandom has taken serious strides. Volleyball fandom has taken serious strides in the last few years because of the national coverage that it's getting. I think having the national championship televised the way it is, the Olympics, our national team winning a gold medal at this Olympics, but the last quad before this most recent one is entirely helpful. There are so many factors that go into it, and I think getting volleyball on the national scale only helps build fan bases. And even Husker Nation is bigger and better and stronger than it was 5-10 years ago. It's growing slowly but exponentially at the same time. So it takes becoming one of those blue bloods to create that fan base that is going to be a die hard. And then once you get good enough that even then when you fall off of that, they will stick around, because I think Husker volleyball could fall off the face of the earth and be horrible and their fans would still stick around. That might just be a Nebraska thing though, because their football fans do the same thing. So
rationally, we're not sure, but they do. But like Penn State, do those guys travel?
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, I've been impressed with Pitt. I think Wisconsin fans,
blue bloods, really talented programs historically.
Well, not historic. I mean, that's kind of been a recent.
But I think with the recent success comes the fan base. I think if Pitt's first national championship to Pitt's national championship this year, if they make it that far, it will look differently fan wise.
Yeah, I think Texas could travel better.
I agree. They don't really travel well. That is the fan base. I think you're right. Call to action for the Longhorns. Show up. You got a whole network for yourself. Go to a game.
Yeah. But the whole SEC, like we talked about.
Yep.
Because we do better. Yeah. So it's just time that we start supporting and traveling. But again, what does that come to? TV exposure.
Yep.
Right. TV exposure, commercials, advertisements, marketing of all of that. So you see those girls. The Big Ten does an amazing job. So young girls grow up. Well, Louisville, Cardinal Nation, it's amazing down there. And I brought me to tears when a guy tweeted that the hardest thing he was going to have to do next year was tell his daughter how they can't go watch Anna DeBeer play anymore. That's because they have done an amazing marketing job in Louisville with Cardinal volleyball. And
for sure. No, they've talked about that too. That was a serious pushing point for them. I mean, L&N Arena where they play is very small. It doesn't hold very many fans at all. I've played there, and I also have played in the Yum. Actually, maybe I haven't played in the Yum Center, but I've been to some games at the Yum Center, and it is something else. They have grown that fan base in an insane amount, and that is something that DBK takes huge pride in. And on my recruiting visit there, that was something that she pushed big time, because that was a big thing for me. Is I want to play in front of those Big Ten crowds, see those fans out there. And the ACC just didn't have that, and especially Louisville, they just have such a small gym. And she was like, "No, you don't understand the amount of games we're pushing to have in the Yum Center, and the fans are begging us to do so because they want more games, they want to come." So now they've got the people coming. Build it, they will come. They've built their program, they've built it up, and the people are coming in, and now they have the opportunity to move to the Yum Center and go do it that way. Purdue University looks the same. Holloway Gymnasium is teeny tiny. People are begging them, do more games in Mackey Arena, so that we can get tickets to a game, because they're not able to get tickets to the game. So the fan bases are building slowly, or growing slowly, but it's one of those things that build your program, build it up, make it good, make it great. The people will come. If you can maintain that consistency and keep building it and keep putting it out there, the people will come.
Well, there you go. But they could go to the Final Four when they make it, right? And that might be their only chance, to make it. So, all right. So final thoughts. We crushed this again, just on this channel alone. Big Z, man, we crushed our numbers, didn't we? I think we tapped out at 135 people last year. So we much more. So thank you everybody for tuning in. All right. So Mac, let's go through. You got to give me, taking the high road here. You got to make a pick. All right. So we'll go through each region and you just give me, let's do this. Give me the Elite Eight and then give me your Final Four picks. So we'll start with the easy one for you, State College region. Give me your Elite Eight and then give me who's going to the Final Four.
I will take my Nittany Lions versus, the Texas Longhorns Creighton matchup is going to be a tough one, but I'm going to go, what I want to see is Nittany Lions Creighton. I want to see Maddie Bilanovic playing her old team for the storyline.
Okay. Oh, man. And so you're going to go Creighton or Penn State in the Final Four.
Oh, Penn State. I'm taking Nittany Lions.
All right. I'm going to do the same thing. I think Penn State cruises, to the Elite Eight. And then, man, just for argument's sake, no, I have to take. No, I'll do it too. I'm going to take Creighton. I'm going to take Creighton. I am not a we can just flip the switch kind of guy. And you can do it. And I think Creighton's been on a mission, and I think they want me to buy him a team dinner sometime for knocking them all year. And so in Creighton, but gal, in the most intimidating gym in America, I think Penn State will advance. That's a great story, and coach will get into the Final Four. So I think we agree there. All right, this one, I'll lead this one off. I'm going Pitt, and then I'm going with the greatest coach nobody talks about, Craig Skinner, versus Kentucky. But then I'm going Pitt in the Final Four.
I am definitely going the same way with Pitt in the Final Four. So my Elite Eight will be Pitt. Oh my gosh. I want so badly to go with the Gophers. I'm going to. I think the Gophers are going to take some upsets there. I think Pitt, Minnesota, and then Pitt to the Final Four.
I like that because what they're building, Coach Cook wasn't able to make it on today, but we talked to him yesterday. And first of all, Corey's answered his little son is doing awesome. They had missed a game yesterday, so that is amazing. But he talked about the difference in culture from year one to year two, which they are all about. And he just talked about the enjoyment this year of coaching this team. And, they won 2, didn't they, last year? Or 1, they beat Creighton last year. I can see that, but boy, the revamped Kentucky home court advantage. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one. It's going to be a really good game. But yeah, I do. Maybe it's more just what I want. I mean, my mom was a Gopher. Like Melanie Schaffmaster's story. Like I'm rooting for them. Keegan Cook is he's a great guy. Like he's said some very nice things to me. I've had the chance to interview him a couple times and just talk with him about volleyball, and he's always been great to me. So I think I'm pulling for them. But also, like, Skinner's great. But my Big Ten bias, I think, might be showing.
But did he invite you to be on the Olympic team?
We're not doing that.
Okay. But the other thing is, too, Dallas, you got to go SMU's home court advantage. They're
inconsistent. We'll see what they can do. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if they shocked both of us and they pushed all the way. Honestly, an SMU Elite Eight would be a shock to me. Just because of how inconsistent they are, even though they have that number 2 seed up there in the corner, an SMU Elite Eight, just even making it to the Elite Eight would be a shock to me.
Well, and you get Mizzou, who's beaten Texas, but
yeah,
them going to an Elite Eight or a Sweet 16 would be a heck of an achievement for that program.
For sure. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean, is not that they've been inconsistent, but I just don't see them getting pushed in the first 2 rounds. I just think they're more experienced and talented. Now, either of those teams. Now, Coach Skinner always talks so highly of this the Western Kentucky, the Western Kentucky team.
So my cousin is the libero for Western Kentucky. So
really?
Yeah, she is. Abby Schaefer. They're a good team. They're a good little team. Their
coach has been there forever, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Coach Skinner.
They're putting a statue up in his honor, and he's still the head coach there. So he's the real deal. Travis Hudson's, and he's a great guy.
Yes.
Travis Hudson, yeah, and he's one of the best guys. We should talk to Travis at some point because he's one of the best guys too. They've got a great staff. I know their staff pretty well too. Jenna Otek is one of their coaches, and she played for Purdue I played against her for a little while. So they've got a really good staff. We should definitely talk to them because they're one of those mid-major teams too that makes the tournament every single year. They win their conference almost every single year. They make the tournament almost every single year. They peak into the top 25 pretty often. And as a mid-major team like they are, it's an interesting program and development that he's got going on at WKU.
And because of how they run volleyball, unlike a true tournament, they always get stuck in Kentucky or Louisville's pot.
Yeah.
Which isn't fair to them. But, well, maybe we should go down there during the spring when horse racing season's going on.
I love it. It's right outside Nashville. It's like an hour, 2 hours outside Nashville too, and I love Nashville, so I'm down.
All right. We'll talk about it. All right, and then got that one. Let's go to Louisville's region. Okay. You know why? I don't know why that scares. Okay, your turn to go first.
A potential throw out there that I would love to see is Purdue play really well and upset Louisville, and I would love to see Purdue in the Elite Eight.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I'm gonna lock that in. Purdue to the Elite Eight, and then they are beat by the Cardinal, Stanford.
Oh, our friends are bad. It's
kind of a crazy take by me. I will say that.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to go Louisville. And I'm going to go Stanford. And I'm going to say what I said on Wednesday night, and I'm going to go Anna DeBeer is going to have a big-time match, and they're going to win the rubber match of that, and they're going to the Final Four. Louisville over Stanford in the Elite Eight.
Cut and dry.
Okay.
Perfect. Here's that Lincoln Regional for anybody who didn't see it.
Happy. And so we have here. I'm
gonna go easy on this one too.
Yeah. So Nebraska, obviously, and then the other side, maybe. No, boy, can Georgia Tech? we talked about Wisconsin's inconsistencies, but they're going to be at home.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia Tech, I don't think so. And then A&M, Arizona. They boy. I don't think I hate going chalk, but
I picked too many upsets earlier, so I just decided to.
You went chalk
for this one for sure.
Yeah, but I'll go Nebraska over Wisconsin in the Final Four.
Me too.
Yeah, I think so. And then I think it's a ratings bonanza. I just think they're on. I think they're just on a collision course for Nebraska versus Pitt.
Yeah.
And which would be an amazing.
That's my pick, Nebraska, Pitt, and then after that, I don't know. I'm rooting for. I think I have to go back to my roots and go a Big Ten win.
Really?
I just I would love to see Pitt win it. I don't think I would be mad either way. It's not one of those games where like last year I tend to root against Texas because they ended my season. I'm still a little bit bitter about that. So I was heavily rooting for Nebraska, which was an embarrassing situation. And then this year, the Big Ten of it all. Like I would love to see Nebraska win it, but Pitt is really strong, and I have nothing against them. And I've got some friends that played for them, and yeah, they're really talented. I would be happy for their seniors. So
yeah. Well, and I think there's great storylines, right? When you have great players that play hard and you have two good programs. I think if you were talking about it that way, where Louisville made it in, and well, all of them where you have great programs, right? With DBK making it and Nebraska making it with this group. I love how locked in they have been and how tight the athletes are. And Pitt talked about them, and Penn State is a question. I guess we did go chalk, but it's a great story. I mean, they're great stories, and they're very talented, but they're great stories. And with Coach and battling what she's been battling, they're easy to cheer for, right? And you can watch them and be happy. Be happy either way, right? And I think it's good for it's good for the sport. I don't think there's any villains out there, so it's good, and viewership's up, and there's heroes on both sides, so it's going to be interesting. Do you know? So they're still doing the 3 days though for the first two rounds though, right? They're not doing the 4 days. They don't do the Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday.
I don't know, actually. I don't know the structure. The only thing I know is that the end is longer.
Yeah, the second weekend now they're actually giving them all a day off for recovery time, but the first weekend still, which is makes it a little goofy, but and then the cool thing is though, what do they call their wraparound show? Fifth set.
Yeah.
That was a great addition last year when they added that. So we'll let you go now. So what's your schedule? Your little staff meeting. So when do you guys start practice? Like tomorrow?
Yep, we're getting going. Well, we have physicals and stuff a little bit more tomorrow. Some meetings, like some maintenance stuff, and then we get going. Yeah.
It'll be good. Well, we went over, but our viewership.
Who's surprised by that?
I'm not, but we had so many great athletes that
I know it
we
was
could
good.
talk to them. I knew as we were lining them up, I'm like, I didn't want to say no to any of them. And I knew we could have talked to them all longer. And then I knew once we got Kat and the Creighton crew that they were going to take a while. But I mean,
It's good.
they're great to talk to. And
Good
we got
problems.
some good stuff. Yeah. And it was great earlier tonight for me to get to meet some Texas royalty. That was awesome. So what a cool day. But yeah, well, thank you for your time, Mac. You put in a long day, and we'll let you get your Tupperware put away in your new apartment, and
You know, it's a mess in here.
and get moved in. But you have a great night. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. We're gonna let you go. Hey, get on ESPN. Get those brackets filled out.
Oh yeah.
Right? Fill out several. If you haven't filled out a bracket before, you can go online. They actually have cheat sheets and the best way to fill out brackets. So be a bracket degenerate like all those basketball people have been their whole lives. I mean, you can waste a lot of time at work filling out brackets. So get addicted to it, have fun. But we thank you. Enjoy the tournament. These athletes have put in thousands of hours to get to this point. So just enjoy, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take care.